This episode of the AFTN Soccer Show is brought to you by Recovery Family Law. Recovery Family Law is here to help you solve your family law problems. If you are going through a separation or divorce, they can provide you the confidence to make good decisions and support to enforce your rights. If you have a question about property, children or support, they have the answers. It's not too late or too early to get help. Email info@recoveryfamilylaw.ca or visit recoveryfamilylaw.ca and let their team get you excellent results.
Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world away from the numbers.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. There's still time, the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I'm Michael McCall,
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhammer.
and it is our sexcentenary.
Is that how you say it?
That is actually what it is. I looked up what is a 600th anniversary, and it said a sexcentenary, which initially I thought that was something that Wayne Rooney partook in, but it turns out it's not,
Oh my!
and it is something for the 600th anniversary because it's the 600th episode of the podcast, and what a way to start it.
It couldn't be more, Michael.
This is why folk have tuned in for the previous 599 episodes. Yeah, it's a special landmark episode. I mean, it's only a number, I know. But, I mean, can we go to 1,000?
Let's hope.
Well, it's taken us 11 years to get to 600.
Yeah, but we're not a daily show.
No, maybe we should become one.
Uh,
2-hour daily shows. I can be Jon Stewart, you can be Stephen Colbert. You'll take over once I decide to retire. My beard's getting white like Jon Stewart's.
And then you'll come back.
Yeah, because you'll have killed it.
No. I could play not Stephen Colbert character, but I could play a character if we needed.
But yes, we are back for another patch show of Whitecaps, MLS, Vancouver FC, CPL, and Canadian soccer chat. We've got a couple of feature interviews for you in this episode.
Yeah.
A fantastic 40-minute sit-down chat with Vanni Sartini about the state of the Whitecaps, as Vanni also celebrates a milestone, his 100th game in charge of the club. And we speak to Gabriel Bitar, the Vancouver FC player, just back from the Asian Cup with Lebanon as well. And a lot of more football chat. We'll be talking a little bit about the Asian Cup in the intro here. Before we get to all that, how has your week been, Zachary?
Yeah, I haven't recovered. I haven't recovered yet.
You look tired.
It's been a very, very, very full week. I was speaking this morning, which takes a lot of time and energy. And just the way that plays out in my life is probably not helpful for time and energy. And then I foolishly made my week even more busy. It made it less stressful in some ways, but more busy in other ways. And then we had our brakes go on our van, and like a guy from the community just him and his dad just come, like said, yeah, leave your car at the office, and they just came and like did my brakes at the office. Like it was pretty amazing. But then also kind of sad was I know I told you this, I don't know if I've talked about this on the show, but I have a cousin who plays for basketball for Trinity Western, and his he's Canadian, but his family has been living and working in Switzerland, in Basel for years, and actually in Azerbaijan before that. And the mom, who's my like second cousin or cousin once removed or whatever the proper term is, she was gonna fly out to surprise him for his last game. Like she's coming to his grad later this year or whatever.
Ah.
But yeah. So then my mom was talking to her. Mom's like, "Oh, I'm gonna come with you for the weekend." So my mom was gonna come, and it was like this big thing, and I was like, "Mom, I'm busy until Sunday night, and then I got a podcast on Sunday night." So I was like, "Mom, I'm barely gonna see you Sunday night, and then I'm like, I'll take Monday off, and I'll spend all Monday with you if you want, but my time is gonna be very limited." She's like, "Yeah, I'm coming." She all this plans to hang out with the kids and whatever, and then her plane got delayed
Oh no.
and delayed. And then literally like I went to bed early because we were supposed to go at like 2:40 in the morning, then it became like 4:50 in the morning, then it became 5:10 in the morning our time to pick them up. And then finally so I went to bed early. So Cheryl woke me up at like midnight our time or later than midnight our time. And she's like, your mom has texted. They've canceled their flight. So
Oh.
I feel my mom was really sad and it was an ordeal for my mom, but I feel so bad for my cousin because of this game. She has another daughter who went to SFU who's out here, I think, right now, and it's like her birthday this weekend, and so it was a bit traumatic for all them. But it meant
Why
that I
was
had a
it
win.
cancelled? Just weather or?
I have no idea. I can't.
Oh.
I don't know I don't know if it was weather. I don't know what it was. It was flare. So whenever I've flown with flare or soup, I don't think there's been a flight that I've had with flare or soup that the time didn't get changed in
Oh.
one way, shape, or form.
Well,
So
I fly back to Scotland 3 weeks tonight, so I'm hoping there's no delays there
yeah,
because
yeah,
I've
but you're
got
not flying. People don't know, but you're not flying on flare, and two, you only fly with the extra leg room
yes,
and extra
well, I
space.
have to for my sciatica.
Right.
It's what I tell Caitlin. She's at the back in economy, and but I'm actually going back to see a new man in charge at East Fife.
Oh, what?
Yes,
He's
the manager was fired.
Wait, did he appear on your podcast right before he got fired?
Yeah,
Oh
he
man.
he asked to come on our podcast because he
Yeah.
wanted to basically pitch what he was doing with the club and how the fans should keep the faith with him. 2 weeks later, he resigned. So he wasn't even fired. He stood down after a horrible defeat and throwing the players under the bus in the post-game interview, which as soon as we heard that, we were like, yeah, he's gone.
So he didn't get any like if he resigns and he doesn't get like any significant severance or like
No,
payout
no,
or
because he's quit, so
oh wow.
he doesn't get it.
That's good
But,
for your
well,
side.
it's good for finances, but also he is a club legend as a player, so he
Right.
loves the club, so he felt it was the best for the club.
And so when
Now,
does Lease take over?
well, we've already got our new manager who was
It's
appointed the
not
very next day.
it's not Lee. It's not is it Bobby Robson?
No. Let me
Gary
just
Robson,
say
sorry.
the hashtag DickIn has been
Oh.
trending in Methil because Dick
Dick
Campbell,
Advocaat?
no,
Oh.
Dick Campbell, lower league footballing legend, 70 years old.
Oh.
Now, people are going to laugh when I say this. For years, and I'm talking years, maybe over 10 years, he has said, East Fife is the club I want to manage before I stop managing in football.
Wow.
Because of our rich history, he is a Fifer, and now he is the manager. And he is a guy that does not suffer fools gladly. He doesn't put up with any shit. He's already basically said in his first post-game interview that lasted 2 minutes that the players aren't good enough and he's going to have to get new ones in.
For a moment there when you said he's a Pfeiffer, I thought, oh, he's related to Paul from the Wonder Years.
Or
Did you ever
Michelle.
watch that show? Did you ever watch that show?
No, I've seen
Oh.
the odd episode, but yeah. So Dick In was trending. And how about this for some weirdness? So, as you know, I was over on the island when Mark DeSantis was no longer the Whitecaps manager. I was over on the island when it was announced that Greg McDonald was no longer the East Fife manager. There's some kind of weird managerial presence going on Vancouver Island.
Don't tell that to James.
But yeah, so that's been the exciting weekend in Fifeland, but also the two international tournaments that's been going on this week wound up. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch either of the finals.
I know what happened in the repeat in Asia. I do not know what happened in Africa.
Oh, I'm going to spoil it for you now.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
Okay, well, the Asian Cup, let's talk about that first.
Yeah.
So I woke up in time to see the second half live on Saturday morning. And first of all, surprise finalists Jordan was delighted for them because it's nice to see a shock country getting in. But they lost to Qatar. They went back to back. Qatar taking the lead. Jordan had tied it up before Qatar got a couple of late goals to win it. But the little bits that I saw in the later stages, it was a good tournament. Lots of excitement and some late goals and shock results and extra time wins. But yeah, Jordan, that run to the final, I think was fantastic to see.
Yeah. Brendan Dunlop's been over there doing their English stadium announcing, eh?
I did not know that, no.
Yeah, like he did at the World Cup. The World Cup he was just doing Canada. For this, I think he's been doing maybe not every game, but a lot of the games.
Oh, wow. Oh, good for Brendan.
Yeah. They appreciated him, I guess, when he was over there 2 years ago.
The African Nations Cup, it wound up this morning. So I watched that game live on BBC this morning, and absolutely fantastic. So we spoke a couple of weeks ago about Ivory Coast.
Oh, yeah.
They lost their last group game 4-0. They were third in their group. It was basically a mathematical impossibility that they were going to get one of the best third-place finishes. They sacked their head coach.
Yeah.
Mathematical weirdness played out, so they scraped through as the fourth best third-place team, went on a run of the ages to get to the final in the tournament that they're hosting, and they came back from 1 goal down with 2 second-half goals to win their third African Cup of Nations.
Wow.
Tremendous game, tremendous performance, and you can imagine the jubilant scenes in the stadium.
I think I have it PVR'd on, what's it called there, Fubo TV, so I'll have to go and check it out.
It was a really good game. I've really enjoyed the tournament. And it's like in Asia, not as much, but a little bit, but definitely in Africa, kind of changing the guard. All 8 quarterfinalists in the African Cup of Nations this time around were different from the 8 quarterfinalists the last one.
Yeah, that's a changing of the guard, right?
Yeah. But yeah, it was a great tournament all round, and it's given me a taste for what Copa America might bring this summer over here. Fingers crossed Canada will be in there. But usually after we do our intro, we do Hot Chocolate Boy. But with being over in the island this week, I haven't actually got out to anything. So we're not going to do a Hot Chocolate Boy this week. Also, I think I need to scale back, take a little bit of a break, or I was in danger of developing type 3 diabetes, I think.
Yeah.
I think I was going to create a...
Did you use that joke last week?
No.
It's a good... Someone I heard... I swear, I thought it was you. I heard someone tell that joke this week.
Oh, wasn't me. There was me thinking I was being original.
I shouldn't laugh because diabetes is a horrible thing and it runs in my family. But
yeah, I know my dad had it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to try and do another one before it wraps up on Valentine's Day. So we'll get out. I'll treat my beloved to a puppuccino, and I'll take Caitlin for a hot chocolate. But yeah, no, we'll be back with Hot Chocolate Boy next episode. But we're going to talk Whitecaps for the rest of this part, because the first competitive game is in the books for the Whitecaps. Whitecaps, Tigres. Very good performance over on the island. It gives a lot of hope, I think, of what is to come for the Whitecaps this 2024 season. A 1-1 draw against the Mexican Giants. we'll get into some of the ins and outs of the game, Zach, but just some quick overall thoughts just on the game and that performance and the result.
Yeah, it's huge. I know obviously there's away goals rule are involved in this, so they are trailing.
One of the few tournaments that seems to still have the away goals rule, which I like, I've got to say.
Yeah, I think I still like it. No, I agree with you. I think it was a good performance. I think, it feels like a missed opportunity for them. I think, and this is probably, again, being a bit nitpicky. I mean, it was a good performance, but I think Kreilach's goal is the only shot on goal from what I remember from the stats. Because they obviously created some chances that, a goal called back, which we'll get to. People I'm sure will want to critique the goalkeeper, Takioka.
Yeah, I don't know why. I saw some of that. It's like that very few keepers would have stopped that free kick.
Yeah, but the criticism comes from leaning the one way right first, and that meant that he had no chance. If he's reading it or waiting or guesses right or whatever, then maybe he gets a hand to it and it does something. But
I mean, he'd given up so much room on the other side as well that I was sure Gignac was going for that top left-hand corner. Yeah, I mean, we'll get obviously to that goal in a sec. I thought it was a good performance. It exceeded all my expectations going into it. I genuinely thought Tigres would come out all guns blazing and get an early goal, because I thought they would be like, let's go out, get that away goal in the first 10-15 minutes, and then it almost puts the tie to bed in some regards as well. But they were frustrated by the Whitecaps. The Whitecaps had really good defensive shape. Their lines were excellent. The quick transition play really seemed to catch Tigres off. Tigres, I don't think, liked the narrow pitch. It was a little cold as well. I'm not sure how much that actually affected them, but it's like, I thought overall it was a good performance by the Whitecaps. They kind of kept Tigres to long-range efforts. And, I mean, yeah, right, it was just one shot on target for the Whitecaps. Takioka had a couple of saves to make, a couple of really good acrobatic stops he had, a couple of long-range efforts that he didn't have to deal too much with. But there was a spell from the 27th minute that the Whitecaps kind of took over the game. It started with Gauld's dipping shot, and then they just kept pushing, they kept pressing, and they got the reward for that with Kreilach's goal in the 32nd minute. And it was what I described in my report as a pinpoint cross from Gauld onto White's head to knock it into Kreilach to sweep it home. And I thought that's just how it was drawn up on the training pitch, until after the game, which we'll hear from Ryan Gauld in a little bit. Ryan was like, yeah, I underhit that pass. I was trying to play Brian in over the top.
Oh my. No, I thought the goal was incredibly well taken, and there's an element of the quick counterattack which worked well. I also saw a number of people talk about critiquing the performance that were, unimpressed, I think, other than obviously the goal with Kreilach and his.
Yeah, I don't know what they're expecting in game one of the season against a Mexican team, 5 games into their season that are unbeaten.
I do wonder. I know I also heard some people maybe concerned that Kreilach is looking like he might be Vanni's someone he's choosing a lot, right? And
I hope he is.
Is that what? But does he have that in him, right?
Well, Kreilach's got no doubt that he does. He feels he's back to his best. I thought the link-up play that we saw between the front three, I genuinely felt it boded well for what could come in store for this season. They've got the sharpness already. They've only had a couple of weeks together because Brian was obviously away at the US camp. Anyone that's been critical of that, just shake my head at it, to be totally honest. I thought Kreilach had a good game. I thought he was busy. I thought he added a different kind of dimension to the Whitecaps attack because he's got the height. I totally think he's got a full season in him and he's got the gas to go, and we will see the Kreilach from a few years ago. Maybe that's wishful thinking, and it's a small sample size so far, but to get that goal in his debut also takes a little bit of the pressure off his shoulders as well. But the biggest take I had from that is that it shows what these front three could be.
Again, so I was working, so I only got to watch, was it the last half hour or the second half? I can't remember which, live. I saw some people maybe, and I saw this a little bit, saying that obviously it's early days, so maybe this will change, but that this is maybe doesn't get the best out of a Gauld or Gauld and White together, because of kind of where they want to play and always drifting and whatever. And so uh,
I'd love to know where you're seeing all this stuff. Is this the Facebook page? Because it's like you need to get a more positive social media.
Multiple. I look at what the Whitecaps fans are saying in multiple, probably at least 3 places.
That's interesting.
Maybe
like genuinely, it interests me because the feedback I had, because I put out today because we speak to Vanni, like how are Whitecaps fans feeling just now, and there was a couple of folks saying, I don't feel they've strengthened enough. They'll be maybe struggling to be better than 6th or to make the playoffs. But the overall feedback, I would say 85 to 90% was positive. They like the additions. They feel they can push for top 4, and it's a stronger team.
And again, I think on the whole, I think it's a very respectable performance. I think they'll be, maybe not extremely, but they'll be happy with the result, right? And again, like I said earlier, maybe I'm just nitpicking a little bit, or these are things that people are nitpicking. But I ultimately, I think it's early days, and it'll be interesting to see what comes from that group of players, and if they even are the primary 3 on a more ongoing basis, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that is going to be the front 3 of choice, with Fafa coming in for the odd game to give Damir a rest, or depending on the opposition. It's something we're going to talk about with Vanni in the next part, actually, how he plans to fit all those in. But then the lead at the half, then the controversial moment, I guess, in the game, Brian White's offside goal in the 53rd minute. Now, in the stadium, we didn't get replays, so we did not have an idea as to why it had been called off initially. But the longer it went on, you kind of felt, well, they're taking a really long look at this, it's going to get called off. But I think it's because of just of how much and how far back they went to look at. Now, you've no qualms with it at all. You feel it was definitely offside, and you feel it was offside twice.
I think the second time was maybe a little bit close, but the first time is very offside. And to me, I know you're gonna want to talk about phases of play or whatever, but
yes,
I think that VAR, from my understanding, which may be incorrect, and I totally admit that, is that they can, if there's any error from I thought it was a stoppage up until a goal, that they can correct things. But
well, let's get into that. So we spoke to our resident refereeing expert, Darnell Smith, who was on the show a couple of weeks ago, also our sponsor for the show. Check out his website, as we have the sponsor at the start. So here's Darnell's take on the whole decision. He said the VAR goal that was called back is an interesting case study in the usage of VAR. The question of how far back in time VAR can go and what constitutes a new phase in play are live questions on whether Schopp being offside when he received the ball should or shouldn't be a basis for overturning the goal. The VAR protocol section 2 states, the categories of decision incident which may be reviewed in the event of a potential clear and obvious error or serious missed incident are, for a goal, that the attacking team in the offence in the build-up to or the scoring of the goal, for a handball, a foul, offside, etc. The question, therefore, is, was Schopp's action in the build-up to scoring a goal the reason why? The VAR protocols provide some guidance at Section 4 under the heading reviews, stating, for decisions, incidents relating to goals, a penalty or a red card or a dogsole, it may be necessary to review the attacking phase of play which led directly to the decision or the incident. This may include how the attacking team gained possession of the ball in open play. And that is basically what it falls down to that. Darnell says the question then becomes, did the side-footed clearance by Tigres' number 23 amount to a change in possession and prohibit VAR from looking at the earlier offside? He says it is at least debatable, but the analysis assumes that the problematic incident was shot when he received the ball and not when the defender immediately in front of him blocked the shot. So it's kind of open to a little bit of interpretation, but they felt it was very valid to take it back to that first pass.
So you're saying for the first one. You think the second one he was onside?
I think he kind of was, yeah. And it did ricochet. Like before it was put in the net, it had hit off 3 Tigres players on the way from the initial pass to the goal. But I think shot was offside when he got the ball. And it is then phase of play. A lot of it comes down to, of course, because the linesmen aren't allowed to put... Well, they're not. They can if they want, but they're told to keep their flag down, which if the linesmen had put it up right away, it would have been the end of the discussion, which is, of course, one of the other frustrating aspects of this. But I think it was the right decision. And like even afterwards, I don't think Vanni had too many complaints about it. It's a frustrating decision, obviously, because 2-0 up, you're looking at a whole different dynamic to this game. And if they hold on to that and they go to Mexico with a 2-goal lead, if they can nick an away goal, or even if they don't, the pressure is on Tigres to really come out down there. But now, of course, we know they're going in tied at 1 apiece. Tigres have the away goal. And I thought this was a stunning free kick. I can't fault Takaoka at all. The photo that we've got on the AFTN report for it from the CONCACAF website just shows the accuracy of it. I would go as far as to say it's one of the best free kicks I've seen live in person.
Yeah, but you went to a World Cup match with 2 free kick goals, right?
Yeah.
Eric Ronaldo and Bregi?
I was also at a VMSL game with a fantastic free kick goal this weekend.
I saw you share that, yeah.
That was a hell of a strike. But, I mean, the thing with Gignac, he got man of the match, which was farcical, because he had one shot in the first half that brought a save out of Takaoka, a good save, and then he had that free kick, but he did very little else. But the thing is, that's the magic of Gignac. Another player, he'd have probably been hauled off, but the coach is like, I know what Gignac can do, especially against the Whitecaps. He's got this moment of magic in him that can change the game, and that's exactly what he did.
I said to Kirk, I said, Gignac is very quiet here. He is a Whitecaps killer. I'm a little surprised we haven't, and even the little we had been watching it, we hadn't seen anything. And then he stepped up and he's like, "Well, he proved you right, Dad."
Well, I mean, we signed cap killers, so obviously he is now going to be a Whitecap at some point down the line.
And he's the right age for the Whitecaps to sign this year.
Imagine him here. How good would that be? Break the bank. 3rd DP spot's open.
It was a crazy goal. I feel bad for obviously the some of my friends were traveling and they were there right behind that goal where their goal went in and kind of ruined their night in that sense. But it was an absolutely tremendous atmosphere. Like full credit to both sets of fans. The Tigres fans were excellent. They sang non-stop. Like, even when that second goal had gone in and everyone thought it was 2-0, they kept the singing going. They brought an atmosphere. It was a respectful atmosphere as well. There was no incidents of stoppage of plays. We got the warning at the start of the game. The Whitecaps fans were great. The Islanders, it turned out, just over 5,700 there. It felt so much more. Yeah, it's a great little stadium, especially when it's full.
It was a tremendous atmosphere always.
And it looked good on the broadcast,
which always helps sell it as well. Overall, I thought it was a really good team performance by the Whitecaps. That there was some highs. I thought Gauld was excellent, and we'll hear from him shortly. He had a bug going into this game. He hadn't trained, and he still was not at 100%. So that was Ryan Gauld not at 100%, the way that he was moving around and playing the balls in, and it was why he went off. He obviously was a bit tired from having the bug. I thought the front three, as I said, played well. Matías Laborda, I thought, was a revelation in that back three, and that was the Matty Laborda that I think I and many had hoped for from watching the highlights package of him when the Whitecaps signed him. So that bodes well for this year.
And yeah, you weren't alone in that. I saw people online talking about how it was by far his best game.
And I think as well, he's got a year under his belt now. He's feeling a bit more confident. Vanni's going with his back three. He looks good in that back three. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Laborda brings this year. And the other player I've got to highlight, with Kubas being out, Pedro Viti coming in as the 6. When we saw the lineup, we looked at it, and it's like we thought, maybe Schopf is going to play as that 6 with Viti in the attacking role. And I said, I don't know, because I can see Schopf being just pushing up further and trying Viti there, maybe going as a box-to-box. And I thought Viti as a 6 was a bit of a revelation as well. And we speak to Vanni about that in the next part. I spoke to him after the game about it, and he says he fully believes Pedro Viti can play any of those midfield positions. He sees him more as a midfielder than being in the attack, and he feels he's got better and better and better in his time here, and that this really could be a huge breakthrough season for him. There was a couple of lows, I thought. I thought Alessandro Schopf had a pretty poor game. He even Tim Forded Ryan Raposo at one point, which was ironic because it was Schopf that was involved with the Tim Ford incident. Yeah, they were both going for a ball. Ryan was lined up to hit it, and Schopf just blocked him.
Yeah, of course, Schopf was offside twice on the goal. Ryan Raposo, what did you think of his performance? Again, I saw some people going on.
I like Ryan.
Did you comment about it online?
I think I might have actually, yeah.
Yeah.
I like Ryan. I like Ryan on the left side. I don't like Ryan on the right side, and I did not like him in this game because in the first half it was right in front of us, basically.
Yeah.
In the press box where he was playing, he kept getting drawn into the middle, and he was giving up so much room on that left wing for Tigres. Now, thankfully, Tigres didn't get the ball out there very much, and when they did, they didn't do anything with it. But that was a recipe for disaster. I don't know what was going on. He just kept getting drawn in. It was as if he didn't really know what man to pick up, and he was just drifting into the centre, and you had defenders back there looking, because they had two men to try and deal with. And the Whitecaps were really fortunate that they didn't get punished. They cannot afford to do that. And I think it shows that glaring omission that we've got in the team of we need to get a right wing back in. We need to kind of find somebody that's going to be Richie Larea, because it doesn't look like we're getting Larea back. Because I don't know if you saw the news this week, Zach, that Larea has been named to Nottingham Forest's 25-man squad for the rest of the English season. Whether he plays, I don't know. I mean, it's great for Richie. It's not great if he doesn't play, but he's not coming back, so they need to kind of address that.
Totally. I think the worst thing possible for Richie Larea is to not be playing football in the lead up to the Trinidad and Tobago game. Ideally, the Copa, and yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that all develops for him. But
overall, a good performance. So I got a chance to chat with Brian White, Ryan Gauld, and Damir Kreilach after the game. So we're going to bring you that audio just now. Brian, I mean, it's a heartbreaking way to give up a goal so late in the game, but that performance, like to a man, it didn't feel for bulks of that game that was your first competitive game of the season.
I think we executed the game plan well. I think we stuck to the principles and had a good performance. Obviously, we would have liked to come out with a couple more goals, but I think confident going to Mexico next week that we could come away with a result.
You've played here before. We spoke about it in the pre-game presser as well. I mean, how did you find it out there? It was a chilly night, but the atmosphere, the fans being so close to the pitch, it felt just a proper cup tie atmosphere.
Yeah, it was a really fun experience. Obviously, it's nice to be outside again. Obviously, when we play at BC Place, it's not always outside, and I prefer the cold weather. So that plus having the fans, especially the island fans that we don't get to see a lot, right on top of the field, their support throughout the game, I think was awesome. It was a really fun experience.
Brian, considering you guys are missing a few key starters, it's your first game of the season, you're playing a team of that quality in mid-season form. What does this kind of say about the direction the team's heading in this year, the tone you guys are trying to set?
I think it's a good way to start our season. Like you said, Tigres is a very good team who have had a few games in their season so far, and to come away with, a tie so far in this two-leg series, I think it's something we could be happy about, confident about going into the second leg and the rest of the season.
You really saw a new dimension of you guys' game defensively, especially in the pressure you're applying high up the field. How important was that part of your game?
Yeah, it's something we've worked a lot on this off-season, preseason, sorry, that knowing our roles in each position, being able to, if three guys switch around, knowing where to go, how to execute that certain spot, and working as a cohesive unit to make sure that they don't bypass our lines and have an easy opportunity to goal.
Do you think that you guys took Tigres by surprise with the way that you played today, given where you guys are in preseason, where they are in mid-season? Do you think that gives you a great platform to be confident ahead of the game in Monterrey?
I think we can be confident going in. Obviously, I think we had a pretty good performance. We had a couple of chances that if we executed and followed through on, we could be up a couple of goals going into the second leg. But I think knowing that we can create chances, that we can stifle their chances, it's going to be a tough test, we know that, but if we stick to our game plan and stick to our principles, I think we could be successful down in Mexico.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, guys.
So, what did you make of that one? It was a performance where you more than went toe-to-toe for a big bulk of the game. You looked pretty comfortable for a lot of that game as well, and then a moment of magic kind of just gets them back into it.
Yeah, I think, considering where we are at our point in, I don't know how many weeks we're in, maybe 4.5, 5 weeks since the start of pre-season. So I think considering that, we gave them a pretty good game. Obviously we knew from last year how good a team they were, so to be able to kind of take the game to them a wee bit in the first half, and then I think you could see later on we got a bit leggy and a little bit more tired. They had a lot more of the ball, so I think it was a good performance, and then like you said, that unbelievable strike for the big boy, and the same as the Leagues Cup, he's produced an unreal goal, so it's still all to play for. It'll be exciting going down there and into a good atmosphere and facing them again.
Obviously the MLS season, it's still 3-4 weeks away, I think. Probably 4 weeks away.
Yeah, for us it's still 3 and a bit.
Yeah, which is crazy to think of. But it gives you time to get chemistry, and obviously there's some new attackers coming in as well. But we saw flashes tonight with you and Brian, and then with Damir as well. Does it feel it's starting to come together?
Yeah, like I said, it's early days, and there is a lot of the same boys who were here last year, so we've got that kind of relationship on the pitch, and then adding in, especially today, we've seen Damir and Fafa, and what they can give us, and they've settled into the group really well. Two guys that are catching on to the way we play, and they're easy to play with. They understand the game really well. They both give us different things. Obviously Damir's a big threat in the box and in his link-up play, and then Fafa with his speed, you see he helped create a couple of chances at the end when he came on. So we're still building that connection on the pitch, but I think it's been a good start, and in 3 weeks when the season starts we'll be even further ahead than we are now.
What is a performance like this where you guys go toe-to-toe with the team in the form they are and of the level they are, kind of set the tone for what's to come for you guys this season?
Yeah, obviously like I said, we know they're such a good team, and I think we can take a lot from that tonight. A lot of people might have expected them to kind of steamroll us with them doing so well in the league, and they had a good backing here, and so did we. We had a good number of fans came over or from the island, so it was a good experience and a performance that we can take a lot from.
Ryan, tactically you guys are pressing a lot higher in this game and winning a lot of dangerous 3v2s, 4v2s. For a creator like you, how exciting is it to see that you guys are going to be getting more opportunities like that to create goals?
Yeah, it's good. we've worked on that since day one in Spain. The way we want to press, and I think we're a very dangerous team when we do win the ball back. So if we can do that higher up, then the better for us. And once the fitness comes along and we're able to press with higher intensity, and then we'll be more threatening once we get the ball back. So I think for the majority of the game we looked good. Without the ball, we looked solid. I don't remember them having any huge chances, and then it's obviously the great free kicks got them into it. So I think we're happy with the way we set up without the ball, and an extra week before playing them again, and then another couple of weeks before the season starts, we'll be in a good position.
Ryan, you put in a huge shift there for a lot of the match. You're going toe-to-toe in physicality with a lot of the players. We saw you come off a little early. Was that just precautionary, or did you feel a little niggle, or what was the cause of it?
No, I was just cramping up towards the end there. I was unwell for a few days coming into the game, so just a little bit of fatigue. But I think for the majority, considering that how tough a game it was, the boys put in a great shift, and I think it must have been 6 or 7 boys played 90 minutes, so it was really good to get that in the legs against a top team. But I'm good. I'm just at the final of my recovery from a wee bug.
And looking ahead to the game against Monterrey, you gave both sets of fans a good reason why you guys are still in this tie and could still nick it. How confident are you now going into the match after this performance?
Yeah, we have to take a lot of confidence. I think we had the bigger chances in the game. I've not seen the video of the offside, but I believe it was really close for Shopfy being off. So if that went 2-0, it could have been a totally different tie. That game might have opened up even more, and we might have had more chances. But I think even at 1-0, we still managed to create a couple. I remember Fafa putting Pedro down the side, and then he almost found Brian in the box. So it's positive that we're creating that many openings against such a good team. So we'll have to take the same belief going down there, and believe that we can go and get an away goal as well.
Can you talk us through the goals tonight?
To be honest, our goal, I've actually tried to put Brian over the top, and I've just kind of underhit it, and that's kind of. I was cursing myself, when I seen what came off, but he's done well to flick it onto Damir, and everyone's seen the last few years in the league that he can finish any chances he gets, so he's put that one away, and then the free kick's just a bit of genius from the big fella, and not too much to say about that one.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I described your cross as a pinpoint accurate cross. I'll change that.
It was orchestrated perfectly. That was from the playground.
It wasn't planned, but we'll take it.
Cheers, Ryan. Damir, fantastic start to your Whitecaps career. First game, first goal. Maybe not quite the result you wanted, but still a fantastic result considering where you are in each of their seasons. Just talk about your experience tonight.
Exactly, not the result we wanted, and basically even more tougher when you concede the goal in, whatever it was, 88 minute, but I would say overall it was great team performance, especially knowing against who we play, and that's Tigres, that's a very good team. But on the other side, I think, we did very well. Of course, it is, space to improve, especially with the ball. But as well, it was the stadium I would say, never played, basically last year, but very rare. And I think we've done a great job tonight. And now it's first half is done, second half in front of us. Next week in Monterrey against Tigres, and then we are hoping and we believe in ourselves that we're gonna go there and play another great game.
You've only had a couple of weeks to get the chemistry going with Ryan and Brian and Fafa as well. Do you feel it's getting there? We saw some flashes tonight that makes it look quite exciting as to what this front three could be for the team this year.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, this is our first official game that we play together. But I mean, I know them even before, playing against them, and the quality of every single them, of the players and teammates is just unbelievable. And now it's up to us, to show this quality on the field every single game, and to do all things in the benefit of the team to get even better results and great results during the season.
I guess, Damir, obviously as a veteran of the league, what do you kind of feel after a game like this where you guys go toe-to-toe with Tigres about the direction of where the team's going, and perhaps is that a reason why you signed with it this offseason?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's all positive things, especially now, when we saw tonight that we can play against Tigres with no problem, and we know and we expect it's going to be a tough game over there, because the Tigres is, individually, as a group, very good team, as a collective, very good team, and now it's up to us, to go there, to prove ourselves, to play as we play tonight, to be very compact, to not allow them to create any big chances, which they didn't tonight too, and try to score the goal and win the game. And we are all winners. Any of us wants to win, and that's our obligation, to go there to play another great game, and then the result is going to take care about themselves.
And what do you just make of the fluid front three you played in, the fact that you get to drop a bit deeper, play sometimes in behind, and kind of interconnect with your team the way you were able to today?
Yeah, I mean, we had 22 days of pre-season to get this chemistry together, and I think we've done a very good job. And I'm just looking forward of more, great games, great team goals, assists, and, just what makes at the end of the day everyone happy.
Damir, talk me through what your feelings were when you scored that goal and you got to celebrate in front of the Southsiders for the first time for this club.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable moment. As well, I would like to say thank you to everyone, especially for the teammates, to great welcome, to the coaching staff, medical staff, all employees of the club. It was the unbelievable way they accepted me in a team, and just proud to be part of it, and knowing to playing the B and to score in the first game, it's just an unbelievable moment. But it's not about about one person, it's about all the team, and I think it was great team goal, great team effort tonight, and now it's up to us to prove ourselves, as I said, every single day. And then basically I'm saying always, you are winning the games during the week, and then you are picking them up on the weekend, and this is how our mentality has to be, to training well, to practice well, and then the game is going to take care about ourselves.
And then you're used to going into hostile environments after playing in Germany for Union Berlin, going to Dortmund and to Bayern. What are you expecting going into Monterrey, knowing how Mexican fans are, even what you saw today? How are you preparing for that mentally, playing under that kind of pressure?
Exactly. We just have to stay calm, we know what we're going to expect there. It's going to be a tough game, definitely. And it's all about how we're going to approach and control these first 15 minutes. We have to know that these first 15 minutes is going to be very tough, especially, they're going to go hard on us, and even having their fans behind them. But then it's totally up to us how we're going to approach this first 15 minutes. If we approach this on a great way, then of course it's going to be positive result at the end of the game.
The big front three, White, Gauld and Kreilach there, just with their post-game thoughts to myself, Felipe and Alex after the match. All to play for now in Monterrey in the game on Wednesday. Still a tough task. If they can go down and put a good showing, I think it'll just add to the hope and the enthusiasm the vast majority of the Whitecaps fan base have for this season, not whoever it is that Zach is reading online. Misery loves misery. I think that's the saying.
This will be really interesting. This has the chance for them to do something they've never done, but they have to be wary that also they don't go on their and expose themselves at the back and take a bit of a beating, right? Because
Yeah.
that could happen in that environment.
And that could knock their confidence as well. It was pointed out to me that the last MLS team to go down there and beat Tigres in Monterrey was a Canadian team, TFC, in that run that they had in 2018. So can the Whitecaps repeat that? Fingers crossed. But a lot of positivity for the Whitecaps fan base, a lot to take from this game. Vanni Sartini's happy as well. And with it being our 600th episode, we wanted a special interview for it. And we've got just that as we sit down with the gaffer to talk all things Whitecaps. And we'll be back with that and this episode's song from our album of the month after this.
Hi, I'm Damir Kreilach, and you're guys listening to AFTN Soccer Show.
Some may say that it's the only way, and I can honestly say I've done it another way. I sat here yesterday, and it was the same as the day before, and I'll probably do it again. But don't get yourself away. It's the only way, it's the only way, it's the only way. And even though statistics say there is only one way, I'll be there tomorrow. Soon you will down into the end shell. I hope you really like me. Don't get yourself away. It's the only way, it's the only way, it's the only way.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's our song from this month's album of the month here at AFTN, English band Marion from 1996. The album is This World and Body, the band's debut album, and that is one of my favourite songs on it, The Only Way. Absolute belter. Definitely one of the strongest songs on the album. Very surprised really that it wasn't released as a single. There's only, I think, 3 songs released from the album as singles, and we'll have one of them which was actually released twice as next week's show. So you can let us know if you're enjoying this album. You can check it out in all the usual places. But we'll move back to the football chat now, and the first of 2 feature interviews on this episode of the AFTN Soccer Show with the gaffer himself, Vanni Sartini. Vanni just celebrated being in charge of the Whitecaps for 100 games with that game over on the island against Tigres on Wednesday. Kind of fitting in a way, because Vanni took over the Whitecaps on the 27th of August 2021, taking over the reins from Mark DeSantis after that defeat on the island at Starlight Stadium to Pacific FC in the Canadian Championship. He's been in charge now for 100 games. He signed his contract extension just a few months ago towards the end of last season. We always enjoy chatting with Vanni on the show, so go stick the kettle on, grab your biscuit of choice, sit back and enjoy our chat. We'll touch on the past, we'll touch on the present, and we'll look ahead to the future with the gaffer. Vanni, thank you for joining us. This is a special show for us. It's our 600th episode. Don't know how many times we've spoken to you during those 600, but
It seems very fitting that you're joining us for this episode because you've just hit your own milestone of 100 games in charge.
Yeah. Thank you. And first of all, congratulations. 600 episode is not that bad. A lot of people start a podcast, starts a publication, whatever. Reaching 600, it means that you are doing a fantastic job for the soccer audience in the Lower Mainland. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been going since March 2013. So at some point, folk will get fed up listening to me. So we'll get into your milestone in a bit as well. But like the last time we actually spoke on the show, you were just getting set to go off to Japan, and I've seen all your photos on Instagram. How was that trip?
It was very nice, actually. We had fun, me and my wife. It was a fantastic country, a fantastic place to visit, and I'm telling you, for sure, it hasn't been my last time in Japan. I really want to explore more the country, explore even more the culture. I was very happy that I was able to, I would say, struck some conversation. I was okay talking with people, so my Japanese was actually, I would say, I want to say fluent, but at least enough to go by. So yeah, it was a nice time.
That was good. Yeah, the photos looked good. It's never a place that I've really wanted to go, but the more photos and stuff I see of it, it does look such a unique experience. I think if I went and maybe did a cruise somewhere around all those places and just saw a lot of little things, but you definitely seem to have a great time. And you've been traveling all over the place. It's like Japan, Spain, the island, Mexico.
Yeah.
Exotic.
Well, yeah,
lifestyle.
Yeah, it is. It's very good for my miles. But it's after that we of course we've been 3 weeks in Spain with the team for pre-season. It was, to be honest, really good. We worked a lot. We were in a fantastic setup. The weather was amazing, so it gave us the possibility to work a lot, do a lot of double session, and we played against very good opposition. And I think that the fruit of the labor, you already saw it in the first game against Tigres. To be honest, I think the team exceeded my expectations in terms of condition on that game, to be honest.
Yeah, I've got to say mine too. I went over there thinking if we can get away with a 0-0 draw, I'd be kind of happy with that. And I mean, it was quite the fact that was your 100th game in charge. It's kind of, looking back at it, you took over after a game in Langford that hadn't gone so well, and now you're 100 games in and you're in Langford for that. You've won more games than you've lost over that 100. How do you look back at your first 100 games in charge of the team?
Yeah. So first of all, it's been, I think it's a great achievement in modern football to stay for more than 2 years as a head coach of a team. It's not that easy, but especially for the way that I became the coach of the team, and also when I became the coach of the team, it was supposed to be only for a few games, and then to pass the torch to the real coach. Like my initial job was to be an interim coach. So if I see, of course, if I have to trace, I would say, a balance of my 100 games. For sure, it's positive. We want to trophy. We went twice to the playoff. We did, I would say, we improved the team dramatically, in my opinion, from the when I took over the team till now. And it seems even impossible that now it's normal for me to be the coach of this team, and now it's normal to be the head coach of an MLS team, because it was so sudden and so incredible, the circumstances where I got a job, that it looked really impossible that looking forward 2.5 years later I would be still at the head of the team. And I have to thanks for sure first of all, the players, whoever the guys that were for 100 games there, the guy they played the first game last Wednesday, and second of all, the club. The club took a massive, and Axel brought, first of all, took a massive, I would say, bet, giving me the team and confirming me the first time after 14 games. Even though we did very well, it was still a bet, and I'm really grateful that they gave me this opportunity, because we're doing something that I think is in the right direction, and I'm enjoying a lot, but it looks like the people of Vancouver are enjoying a lot too. So
yeah, I think they are, and we touched on this the last few times that we've spoken in depth on the podcast. But when you look at the Vanni that took over that first game to the Vanni now, do you feel you've kind of grown exponentially? Do you still have a lot of growth that you feel you need to do?
Yeah, of course, I still have a lot to grow. But if I look at myself of the coach that was preparing the game against Salt Lake in the August of 2021, and now I can see almost two different person, changes the essence of the human being. And so, of course, I try to change for the good and to be a better coach in a lot of things, to be in the small things. So even being more prepared in things that I was already thinking that was good, like, I don't know, being tactically savvy, or applying the right methodology when we are at training. And I also, I think, made a lot of improvement in things that I didn't do it before, actually. So I was really relatively new. So I think dealing with the players individually, dealing with managing the club, the owners, the sporting directors, dealing with you guys, the press. So for sure, I'm a different coach, because also I'm a different person to account physically.
Yeah. Looking back there on Wednesday's game, just quickly, because we spoke a bit after the game, and some of the stuff I'm going to ask you now, we chatted about just as we were walking across the pitch, but just to kind of get it officially on record, the game itself, I mean, obviously, first game of the season, there's going to be some things that need improved upon, but the defensive shape, the lines, the kind of frustration that you had of Tigres, they didn't seem to know how to deal with it, and as well as the quick counterplay and the interaction of the front three, it must have pleased you so much to see the early work pay off so quickly.
Yeah, it's true. We did very well, and I think it's given mainly by the fact that we had 10 out of 11 players that started the game that were with us last year.
Yeah,
and I think even last year, especially in the second part of the season, our defensive structure was, I would say, amazing. If you remember the last games of the season, when we played in Seattle, when we played LAFC at home, when we played St. Louis at home, all good teams, they didn't create anything against us. And even in the playoff game, we conceded 5 goals in LA, but 3 was because 3 were on the set plays. That was a little bit our Achilles heels last year. And the game that we did at home in the playoff was actually really, really, really good defense. So I think it's a growth of the team. Everyone knows what are their roles, what we want to do it. Some guys they made in the second part of the last season and in this preseason extreme growth, especially in understanding the principle of the team. I tell you a name, Matias Laborda, for example, that for me it's a completely different player if we compare him at the beginning of this season, the beginning of last season, and for the better. And we were able to, and some other guys they grew up exponentially in their tactical discipline. Pedro Vite, for example, Ryan Raposo, really good in applying what we want defensively. So I'm really happy.
I mean, you mentioned Matthias there. I was certainly going to
touch on him. I thought he was outstanding on Wednesday. For me, up there for players of the game. I still don't know how Gignac got that, because he was quite ineffective for most of it. But we spoke after the game, and you said that you feel the team plays a proper back three, whereas a lot of teams around the world say they play a back three, but really they're playing a back five. You've tinkered, you've looked at different formation outlets. It's like the three at the back, that is primarily what you're wanting this season, and you must feel comfortable with the guys that you've got that can rotate in and out of that. They all look very capable of playing that.
Yeah, when we don't have the ball, yes, I think the back three is the best way to play with the players that we have and with the type of game that we do out of possession, that is all related to defending the space. It's all related to being as compact as we can, and to have our distance between the line and between the players in the same line as the most important thing to keep tight. So yeah, I don't know the exact statistics, but I think that defensively, on 100 games in charge, at least 85 I play with the back three, between 80 and 85. So that's something that I feel more comfortable with this team. Even generally, I would say that's what I like more, when we don't have the ball, to play with 3 defenders instead of 4. And so I think that moving forward, that will be the structure when we don't have the ball. When we have the ball, we'll see, because, I like to be even more. Last year, I give you an example. We were fantastic, in my opinion, when with the ball, when in the first part of the season when we were playing with the back 4. So I'm thinking that, okay, is it okay to keep the back 3 offensively and defensively, or maybe we can have a structure sometimes that one of the 3 center back, when we are in possession, becomes a fullback a little bit wide, and we have, so in this way we have one additional player up front. So it didn't happen against Tigres. We played with the fullback 3 even when we had the ball. But that's a possibility that I want to have for the rest of the season. And we already tried in the first 2 preseason games in Spain, and for sure we will try it again in some other friendly games that we'll do before starting the league.
You've certainly got the players that's giving you a lot of different options for formations as well, depending as well on who you're playing. I mean, Andres Kubis obviously was missing on Wednesday. Is that anything fans should be concerned by? Is it just a small niggle that you're not expecting to last too long?
Yeah. I can tell you that we expect Andres to be starting the game next Wednesday in Mexico. So it's we are. He always have this kind of little problem sometimes. He always missed like 3 or 4 games during the season because of this back problem or this hip problem, and also because the way that he plays is so, I would say, on the limit, on the edge every time, trying to win every tackle. If you remember last year against St. Louis, when he had this problem at the shoulder and he had to get out. So it is what it is. If it's a small price to pay to have a player that aggressive in the midfield and that ready to go in the midfield every time that is 100%. So it's not something that the fans should be very worried about, because again, as touching wood and everything, but at the moment he will be starting the game on Wednesday.
I mean, the guy that took his role over in Langford, Pedro Viti, I thought he was a revelation. You don't expect him at a 6. And like we spoke after the game about that. You see Pedro as a midfielder, you think he can play any of the 4 midfield positions. And it felt, with the additions that you've made, it's kind of felt like, how do you fit Pedro in the team? But it looks like he's a guy that you could certainly fit in a lot of places this year.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a soft spot because I'm really proud of what Pedro did in these 2 years that I coached him, and I think he matured enormously as a player. And then he's one of the players that, when you change your opinion with a player, like the first couple of months was, he has talent, but maybe he's a little soft, not intense enough. And then he works a lot, and he makes you change what you think about him. And now I'm in love with him as a player, to be honest. And again, so I think it really big credit to him of the work that he did and the quality that he has. Personally, again, I think that the deeper he played, the far he played for the opposition goal as a starting position, the better it is. Because he's a player that likes a lot to be involved a lot in the game. He likes to touch the ball a lot. He likes to be part of the build-up, to drop, to play. So the deeper he plays, the better it is. Of course, if you play deeper on the field, you need to develop skills you have to follow the tactical plan, not only offensively, but also defensively, and to be very good in situation that you're not facing when you are playing like as a number 10 or as a second strike. So I think he developed enormously in that. I think I'm going to say something. He's ready to be probably one of the top 5 midfielder in this league, to be honest. And he will be a very important player for us moving.
Yeah, excited to see that and what he can do this year. He does seem to be a guy that's just getting better and better. And I think throughout the team, it's very exciting. I'm very excited about the attack. Big fan of Damir, Kreilach, having him coming into the team's obviously big. Getting that first goal as well is big. Fafa Pico as well. I mean, you've always said you don't like wingers, and then you sign a winger in Fafa Pico. So how do you see all of them coming together? Is it a case of like it depends on the opposition as to who's going to play, how wide you're going to have them?
Yeah, kind of. I say every time that I don't like wingers as a position, but I like the characteristic that the winger has, to be honest. If like Fafa, that you can go 1v1 at players, you're able to dribble the ball, you're very good, you're very fast, you can attack the space. I think you can play easily in our system. It's going to be two things. The fact of the different opposition that we're going to face, and it's going to be, of course, sometimes something's more suitable to play with 2 strikers like we did last game, 2 number 9, Brian and Damir. Sometimes it's maybe more suitable to play maybe with 3 guys, that is a striker and 2 guys on literally a little bit on their side. So play with Fafa and another guy and a number 9. So that's the kind of differences and that we want to bring to our offensive shape. The other thing, it's about following the tactics to the team. So Fafa, for his characteristic, has always been very quote-unquote anarchic as a player. Relying on individual skills and playing almost an individual games in 11. I think that if we are able, and if he's willing, and like he's doing now, to understand that we play an extremely organized system where everyone needs to move in a certain way at a certain moment, that's going to help him even more to spare energy and to be in the right place at the right moment where he can exploit his quality that are really high. And so I would say Damir has picked up immediately what we want tactically from the players. So that's the reason why I would say at the moment is slightly ahead of Fafa. But I think that Fafa is going to be ready to be an asset for the team very soon.
I guess the other big position to kind of talk about is right wing back. Obviously, Richie Larea is now definitely not coming back, at least until the summer, because he's in Forest's 25-man squad for the rest of the season, which is great for Richie, assuming he's involved. If he's not used, it's maybe not so great for him. But is that a position now that you feel you still have to look at to fill now, or are you prepared to wait and see how things go until maybe the summer?
No, we're always looking to, I would say, things in order to improve the team and to to make, I would say, the team better. So we, at the moment, we are a little bit of an kind of an emergency in that position because players that can play wing back like Sema Dekubi and Ali Ahmed are out. And to be honest, both Ryan Raposo and Luis Martins, I think they're better on the left. Ryan, even if it's a right-footed, I think it's a natural left wing back. It's not a natural right wing back for his quality. His quality is, even on the 1v1, is to cut it inside. He plays a very good blind ball. So he put a fantastic shift on the right, but I think that naturally is more of a player that he can play on the left. So yeah, we are looking at in the market, but we are not desperate because, again, at the same time, we have Sam and Ali that in a month they will be back. And so only if there's something that is going to make sense in terms of really improving the quality of the team, we'll do something. But we are the club is being active there, and we are looking at several players in that position.
You also still have a DP spot available, and I know folk get hung up on things like DP spots and under 22 roster spots, basically because that's just how MLS has got folk thinking. I mean, is that something you're pushing?
Yeah.
Are you pushing to fill that role, or are you not in any rush to fill that? You just want basically the best player for the need that you have, and whether he's a DP or not doesn't really matter.
So I'm not pushing because I'm not the I don't think, first of all, that this is the role of the coach. I think I shouldn't push the club to buy players or to sign players, or I want this or I want that. I think that the role of the coach is to try to create the best team possible with the players that we have, and to create an atmosphere and to lead a group in a way that if the team sign the new players, it's easy for the players to get integrated in. So the other thing is also that the DP are literally owners' money, is not in the salary cap and everything. So you it's not. I would say I don't want to say it's not my task to ask the owners, put 10 million for a player. So that's the other thing. On the third part of that, I also do, to be honest, an evaluation on my skills as a coach, and how do I see the game. So I always say that the team is the leader. I always say that I think our system, our way of working, it functions because also we have a certain kind of player that they accept that there's no superstar in this team, that everyone needs to work for everyone, and everyone needs to really put the team first. And so I think that he wouldn't be ideal to have me as a coach of a team of superstars. I have to be honest. That's I don't know. I never had the chance before, but I would. I don't know if I would be the best person to manage it, because I consider myself much more of a teacher of the game and an organizer than a manager of superstars.
So if Messi had said, "I want to come to Vancouver," you'd be like, "No, I don't want you here."
No, but you see what happened. Messi went to Miami and he brought the coach that he liked. So probably if Messi come here, Tata Martino would coach the team, not me.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that. We've talked about it over the years. It's like sometimes big players have come to MLS and they must look at their coach and think, I've done this, this and this. What have you done? Why are you telling me what to do? And that's not necessarily the right thing, but it's just, I think, human nature. I don't know, have you had a chance to watch much of the African Cup of Nations or the Asian Cup?
A little bit. I watched a little bit. More the Asian Cup, to be honest, than the Africa Cup. Africa Cup, a couple of games, but the Asian Cup, I watched some games. So
I've been the opposite. I've watched more of the African, but it just feels... There's so many countries there just now that it's like the game is changing. There's so much talent. And I know we've brought a couple of African lads over to WFC too. Is that a part of the world that you're like actively looking towards and keeping an eye on, like Asia, Africa, for? I don't know if there is diamonds in the rough anymore. I don't even know if that's a thing with so much scouting that exists. But
No.
yeah, I mean, do you feel that's
you're
markets?
right. Yeah. Like I think I don't say anything new to say that football is a really globalized world now. So we need to look at every market, at every country, and at every competition. And you have a lot of players that are good and a lot of teams that are good that you wouldn't have thought before. Like, I never associated Jordan with a good national team of football, and they went to the final of the Asian Cup. You see all these new nation in the African Cup doing fantastically, like Guinea Equatorial, Cape Verde, and that's one, because I think that FIFA did a really good thing in the last 15 years to change a little bit the rules, and you're not locked with the national association from the age of 15. And I think a lot of players that they love to represent the country or the family of the fathers, even if they grew up in France or Portugal or any other European country. And so, yes, I can easily tell you that we watch also some games in order to scout players, not only for the fun of watching football, because there's a lot of good players that you can find that at every latitude. And, even though sometimes it's even, if you look this morning, there was the final of the Africa Cup. I think at least 15 out of 22 players are starters in the top 5 leagues. So, that's like, it's really high quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're maybe not finding a lot of stuff there. I just got a few more things to ask you, and then I don't know if you're going to watch the Super Bowl today or not, but are you going to watch the Super Bowl?
Well, maybe, I don't know. I'm like, it's rainy day, I'm home, so football is not my big thing, to be honest. It's not a sport that I love more, but the Super Bowl, I will have a look. I will have a distract look for sure.
I'm a 49ers fan, so I'll be actively watching it. Yeah, you touched on set pieces earlier, and it is no secret to know that the team were not great last year. A recent MLS article pointed out that the 0.41 goals per game was the worst in the league. I mean, it's easier said than done, and obviously it was a set-piece goal on Wednesday, but that was a slightly different set-piece goal. Yeah. But, I mean, is it something that you've actively been working on? I mean, how do you improve in that?
Well, improve in a couple ways. Like, first of all, you analyze what happened, and you try to understand if there's some structural thing that you can change. And we changed a little bit our way of positioning in defending corner kicks and wide free kicks this season. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that, to give you an example, both Damir and Fafa are really good on set plays, both offensively and defensively. So Damir is big and Fafa is deceivingly small. If you see his history in MLS, he scored goals with headers, and he always been very active defending for his team in set plays. So the market, what we, even Bjorn and Bilal that we signed, are very good players on set plays, are good players that can help in this kind of a part of the game. So that's the other thing. And the third thing, we sit down with the staff in the off season, and we say, okay, are we training that in the right way? Because of course it's not only the strategy, it's not only the personnel, but also we need to, because there are some part of the games that the players, they picked up immediately. Sometimes some parts of the game that the players, I would say, struggled to pick up. So we made this effort to train the set players in a more intentional way and in more even in a bigger way, to be I would say ready to perform better, because I totally, you cannot contest what he was saying in that article or what everyone said, because it was true, and we need to improve our score. And by the way, our last game expected goals on set plays were very good because we're very low, and even if we consider on set plays, probably XG on Gignac's shot was like 0.5, I don't know, whatever, or even less.
Yeah. I don't bother with those stats. I'm old school. It means nothing to me. But I mean, we're 3 weeks basically now to the MLS season gets underway. Obviously, you starting the year with a suspension. I've had a lot of folk ask me this, and I don't genuinely know the answer. So on game day, what are you allowed to do? And are you allowed to be with the team until a certain time? And then are you allowed in the locker room at any point?
So I am allowed to be with the team if nothing changed from the previous season. I'm allowed to be with the team till 90 minutes prior to the game.
Right.
So that's so I'll do everything. I'll do the pre-game speech, the tactical speech, and everything, and I'll leave the team basically alone when they have to prepare themselves to go for treatment and then for warm up. Again, I think I'm not allowed to have any contact, but I will ask, to be honest, the MLS, because I saw yesterday, for example, Simone Inzaghi was suspended in Roma Inter in Serie A games, and is in the first page of the biggest sports newspaper in Italy. There was the reported that he FaceTimed the team at the end of the first half, and they talk with them. So if they reported on the press, it probably means that it's allowed, because if not, they wouldn't do it. And so I don't know if I'm allowed to have any kind of contact, and of course I will be asking the league, because of course I want to be compliant with whatever they say. And if I can, I will be able to speak with the staff and to speak with Mike, with Brendan during the game, and they can, let's say, transmit my message to the player, not only their message. If I cannot, there is no problem. It will be even a bigger, I would say, challenge in order to improve us as a coaching staff, because we are already, I would say, basically every time on the same page. We need to be even more on the same page, because there's a voice less on the bench, and there's not the usual guy who take the decision on the bench. So, but they will be for sure able to do everything. But again, I actually have in my calendar a mail to ask the league, to be honest, which are, because I don't want to do nothing that is wrong and then maybe get an additional suspension because I did something wrong.
I mean, technically, and I've seen this, it's like coaches get sent off and then they go in the first row of the stand right behind the bench and they're still yelling at. So I don't know. It's like letter of the law and stuff.
I have no idea. I'll it doesn't bother me, in my opinion, what happened on the during the game. So I will be able to work during the week to do all the speech before the game, to talk with the players before the game. So I am not, to be honest, coaching in the game is literally 5% of my job.
Yeah.
Like, I know that you guys look more like that's the thing that you see more, but it's like 5 or 10% of my job. So, and Mike and Brendan can do easily. The thing that is kind of bothering me and really frustrating me that I'm not helping the team is the halftime, because I think that the coaches at the halftime has a lot of influence, and but the only guilty part it's me, because I shouldn't have been sent home, and so that's that it is what it is.
Have you started your training course or whatever it is you have to do?
I did. Yeah. I'm basically, plain and simple, I'm doing therapy basically. I'm talking with a sports psychologist, and there's a lot of talk about it. To be honest, it's actually really nice. And he told me that he's going to file my character evaluation like in a week or something. And we did a lot of work, a lot of exercise that I think they're gonna improve my I would say ability to not lose concentration when I get pissed off on the sideline, let's say like this. So again, I'm an optimist. So
that's interesting.
Everything happens for a good reason.
Yeah. Right. I've two last things to ask you. So obviously Messi's coming to town this season. I mean, as a coach, what must that be like? You've got a chance now to put a team out against arguably the best player ever to have played the game, but I don't agree that he is. But we won't get into that discussion just now. But it's like that must be exciting to have that like potential to do that.
Well, it's extremely exciting, and to I don't want to again be in this debate, the greatest of all time. So everyone has his own greatest of all time generation. My greatest of all time is Maradona. So that's the thing. And I think it's going to be amazing. It's going to be fantastic. I'm not that excited, to be honest, more than I was excited when we played against, I don't know. I remember as assistant coach, we played against Ibrahimovic. We play against Rooney. We play. I was very excited, to be honest, when we played Toronto against Insigne and Bernardeschi. I know that Messi is a different caliber. I know that Messi is a different thing. Messi is a different thing. But again, I see the game in such a team shape that I'm really happy that it's going to happen, because it's also a testament on how good MLS became, because we're going to play a game against Suarez, Messi, Jordi Alba, and Busquets, and we have a chance to win the game. So it's going to be on how good we are, to be honest. And also I'm going to be extremely excited, because they're going to be like 55,000 people. So it's going to be like it's going to be a blast, to be honest.
Amazing. Last thing, it's the 50th anniversary season. What does it mean to you to be part of this club's history, this club's folklore, to be in charge of a team for such a historic season?
Well, it means the world. It means the world to be part of this big season, to have this big role for this season. This club means the world to me. This club, again, I told you before, is the club who took a massive bet on giving me the possibility to be a head coach at a certain level, and I will be always ready to do the extra mile for the club and to celebrate this club in the best way possible. So I hope that it's going to be a fantastic season, not only because it's the 50th anniversary. That is a big deal in North American soccer. It's a big deal because it's like 200 years in European, I would say, standard, 50 years in North America, and with a trophy maybe, or with a great season. So I like milestones. So I was really happy to do my 100 games last week. To be honest, I look upon on Transfermarkt, who's the number one manager in the history of the Whitecaps with more games, and I hope that I'm gonna be close to there in a couple of years. I have 2 years contract, so if we do very well and we have a lot of games, I will be number one at the end of 2025. And there's another milestone, that I will be happy to celebrate with the club.
Well, that's amazing. The first coach was Scottish, so it's maybe apt that I'm talking to the coach that's in the 50th season as well. Thank you, as always, for your time, Vanni. Safe travels to Mexico. Good luck on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a tough one, I know, but it's like, just give it your best, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough one for sure, but there's no pleasure to win easy things. So it's good that it's a tough one. So let's try to sneak a win and go through the Champions League and start the season in the best way possible.
Cheers, Vanni, and we'll talk soon.
He's the gaffer. You can try it on with him. He's the gaffer. Even when he's on a limb.
Vanni Sartini there, a fantastic chat as always with the gaffer. And we won't sort of pick apart what he said there and kind of review some of what he said, Zach. Well, because you haven't heard the interview yet at the time of recording this, so we'll let you listen to it, and then we'll kind of talk about some of the stuff that he said in next week's show. We'll get some of the listeners' thoughts as well. They can get in touch in the usual places, AFTN Canada on Twitter, aftncanada@hotmail.com. But just some very honest stuff there from Vanni, just authentic as ever. How would you sum up Vanni's first 100 games in charge of the Whitecaps?
I saw some discussions about this online in the last week or so.
I did too.
And I saw people comparing some of the statistics of his first 100 versus people like Robbo and Martin and maybe one or two others I can't remember. And so the statistics actually weren't, if I remember correctly, they weren't that hugely different.
No, he's had more wins than defeats, but they are kind of on a bit of a par with like Robbo, MDS, no, but
yeah.
Martin Rennie had a good start and stuff as well. You've got to remember he made the playoffs in his first season as well. But I mean, for having that many games, I think he's right up there. But I mean, even without that, just what I always like to think, it's like what your eyes are telling you.
Exactly.
It's a much more enjoyable team to watch.
Totally, and that's what I was going to say. I saw these people talking about the statistics and whatever, and I was just like, that's not. I mean, yeah, you want to win and you want more wins than losses, whatever. Like that's obvious, but like that's not the most important part. I think when you think about the Vanni era at the Whitecaps, it's he took over at a very pivotal time, and he went on a run and did things that no one thought were going to happen in that season. If that's how I remember it in my memory news. You can correct me if I'm wrong, including making playoffs. But then he also has gone on to win back-to-back Voyageurs Cup, which I think is absolutely massive.
Yeah, and I don't feel gets the full appreciation from some of the fan base. Also, I tell you something about that pisses me off when folk are like, oh, well, if you take away the games that he just beat CPL teams and stuff, it's like, that doesn't matter. It's a cup competition. You've got to beat who you're playing. Well, and I don't feel he gets the full credit for winning those two trophies.
Well, especially when you when you look at his predecessor, who lost twice to CPL clubs, right?
Yeah.
But speaking of underappreciated things, he also won the Cascadia Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's not.
I know I don't appreciate it as much as I used to, but that's just because there's so many bloody competitions now.
That's fine. But then he's also, and there's things about him I've said them before about his style as a coach, and there's a few things that I don't really appreciate about him. But the thing is, you can't argue what he's done, right? You can't argue with the way he's worked with the players, the way they love him, way, you talk about Fafa Pico, I know in the last couple of weeks about, oh yeah, I want to come play for Mr. Vanni, blah, blah. So he's done well for the Whitecaps in that respect, and created, been a part of like kind of reinventing the club in some ways, along with Axel Schuster. And so I think, yeah, he's currently, I don't know I can't remember what the numbers are, but I think he is, as we talked about at the end of last season, the most successful Whitecaps coach in the MLS era. And so,
yeah,
I think it was great. I think it was very nice for him, I think, too, that his 100th game wasn't like after coming back from suspension in the league or whatever, but rather it was this, big CONCACAF Cup game where it was played in a unique scenario, and the game was really positive in most respects.
Yeah,
right?
It was a good performance, and I think some of the things that you don't appreciate about him are the things that I love.
Yeah,
we've talked about that, obviously.
Yeah,
but
there's some things I don't appreciate about that I know lots of people love about him, and that's totally cool.
And just the last thing we'll say in this, which I mentioned that he had said, as I said, you haven't heard the interview yet, but I mentioned that we talked about the suspension and the therapy that he's had to go to, and how he feels it's actually really helped him as a person and a coach, and he's enjoyed it. So it'll be interesting to see,
and that's great,
what this Vanni is going to be like on the sidelines this year.
Yeah, that's encouraging. That's what that whole process was supposed to be about, and I'm glad he is reporting that it has been meaningful for him, and yeah.
So yeah, looking forward to seeing Vanni in charge this year. A great chat with him. Thank him as always, and good luck down in Monterey this midweek. That is it for the Whitecaps chat, though. We're going to turn our attention to the CPL, Vancouver FC, and our second feature interview of the show, and we'll be back with all of that after this.
How's it going, guys? I'm Ben Fisk. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
They said beware of strangers, but now that's all we are. Rolling real-time auto-fiction, reveries with avatars. I'm what I think you think I am. The same voice sings a different song. 100 billion neurons making it up as they go along. I don't know what you know, I know what I believe, I know what I can give, but I don't know what you receive. The knives are sharpened, pistols drawn. The boys warm up and flex their brawn. Soon hearts are broken, points are scorned. It's just some banner when they're born. They've always been there, they're not new, but now they've got a good venue. Let's hope the day is coming when you'll be bare and unknown, on a walk in the park in the dark all alone. Your keys in your bag, your earbuds full blast to drown out the birds, disposition downcast, and you, well, call it bliss.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, former Artist of the Month here at AFTN from Falkirk in Scotland, Arab Strap, with the first single taken from their upcoming album out on May 10th, with a wonderful title of I'm Totally Fine With It, thumbs up emoji, don't give a fuck anymore, thumbs up emoji. Absolute classic album title there. A great band. That is their song Bliss. The band started in the mid-90s in Scotland. After a hiatus from 2006 to 2021, they came back with their 7th studio album As Days Get Dark in March 2021. Their upcoming album, their 8th in the discography, and they still sound fantastic and fresh. Check that out. Check out all their earlier stuff as well. So for this part, we're going to turn our attention away from the Whitecaps and to the Canadian Premier League and the other Vancouver team in town, Vancouver FC. We've been covering their pretty impressive off-season rebuild in the last few weeks, chatting with a lot of the new signings. But this week we're going to chat to one of the OGs. Canadian midfielder Gabriel Bitar made 25 appearances for VFC last year in their inaugural season, scored 6 goals. The Ottawa native, it's the third stint technically for him in the CPL. He made 1 appearance for Cavalry in 2019, went away over to Lebanon for a little spell there, came back to the CPL with FC Edmonton in 2022 before joining up with VFC last year. And talking about Lebanon, he's got 5 caps now for the Lebanese national team, the 2 most recent of which came at the Asian Cup. Sadly, Lebanon never made it through the group stages, but what a fantastic experience for Gabby. One I'm sure he will look to build upon for the upcoming CPL season with Vancouver FC. and he was really starting to hit his form as the season came to an end last year. Really looking forward to seeing what he can do out in Langley this second season. So go stick the kettle on, grab another biscuit of choice because you are worth it, and sit back and enjoy our second feature interview this episode with Gabby Bitar. So Gabby, welcome to the show. It's been a busy couple of weeks for you. A lot of travelling over to the Middle East for the Asian Cup. How are you feeling? How are you looking forward to getting back on the pitch for pre-season with Vancouver FC?
Yeah, I feel great. Thanks for having me. Yeah, no, I feel great. It was a great experience for me, and I think it only motivated me to push myself more for the upcoming season, the upcoming CPL season, and hopefully earn some more call-ups through my performances in the CPL.
Yeah, and you had such a good finish to 2023. It was a good all-round season, but the finish in particular, in the last 9 games, 5 goals, 3 assists, it kind of felt you were just really starting to hit your stride when the season then came to an end. Is that how it felt for you as well?
Yeah, it was. It was great the way we ended things. I mean, we didn't get off to the best start, but to really see us persevere towards the end of the season and give our fans something that they wanted to see was something that we could really be proud of. And we knew that if we could end the season off on a good note like we did, then it would propel us to hopefully start this CPL season on a strong foot and really show the league what we can do, because we really believe in ourselves. AFTN believes in us, and we believe that we can do something big. And hopefully, God willing, we can really prove everyone in the league that we deserve to be amongst the top teams in this league.
For you personally, what was it that kind of just seemed to click for you in the last quarter of the season? Because you were scoring goals, you were getting the assists, everything just seemed to be happening for you.
I think more so at the beginning of the year. As you know, we were an expansion team last year, so it was pretty tough. Everything was kind of put together last second. The roster wasn't really set until the before the season really started. So it was really hard to kind of build that camaraderie and that chemistry with certain players. And I mean, our 11 was changing week in, week out due to injuries and whatnot. So I mean, we got pretty unlucky to start the season, but I think as the season went on, we started to, we added some great players halfway through the season, and we started to stick to an 11, and we got healthy. And obviously, as the team got healthier and the same players started playing more minutes together, I think we really built that chemistry. And you saw it towards the end of the season. I mean, we were, I think, one of the only teams to win win 5 out of 7 games or something like that. So, it was great. I mean, the players that we added were really quality players, and that really helped us. That really boosted our talent levels, and I think that was a big one for us for sure last year.
I first saw you play back in 2018 with Carlton when you were through here in BC for the U Sports Nationals, which I was one of the commentators for and was very excited by your style of play. I remember mentioning on commentary that very bright future ahead for you. When you look back at that time at college, you were obviously at college just at the perfect time because the CPL was starting. Did you always go to college with the hope of playing professionally, or was it get the education and then just basically see what happens?
Honestly, my first year, the CPL wasn't a thing, right? So
yeah.
My first year was kind of just, you know what I mean? I'm in town, might as well play. I mean, I always wanted to play professionally. That was always a dream of mine. But really nothing had come about. And I told myself, I'm not just going to sit around at home and, you know what I mean, and just not play soccer. And the level at Carlton was pretty high. So I decided, you know what? In my first year, I decided I'm going to play for them. And thankfully, I got an invitation to a preseason trial with Toronto FC. And so I think once I received that, it kind of gave me confidence to tell myself that I can play at that level. And then obviously when the CPL came about, it was just more extra motivation for me to push harder to get into that league and hopefully establish myself. And I'm thankful that that opportunity did come about, and I'm trying to do my best to really stay in the league and prove that I can be one of the better players here.
I mean, technically, Vancouver FC is your third club. I mean, Cavalry, I know you just made the one appearance and you were on that U Sports contract. I mean, the time that you had at Edmonton, you shone well there. You did well there in a team that was just in disarray off the pitch. I mean, how difficult a season was that?
It was tough. I mean, losing is never easy for a player and a team, but Alan did a really good job of really keeping us dialed in and focused week in, week out. I mean, like you said, we weren't in the best situation to succeed, but once we stepped on the field, we completely forgot about that. That wasn't in the back of our heads. We were just trying to win for the next 90 minutes. So, yeah, no, it was tough. It was tough. I agree. But at the end of the day, I feel like the players and the staff didn't make it seem like we were going through so much off the field because of how focused we were on whatever game we had or whatever games we had that week, which was great for us as players. But yeah, I know it was a tough season for sure. But for me personally, I really enjoyed it. I gained a lot of experience, and I mean, it really propelled me to have a great season at Vancouver. So I'm very thankful for my time at Edmonton.
Yeah, I think you had good coaching staff there for that particular scenario. I've been friends with Alan Koch for about 12 years now, and he always spoke very highly of you, and it was good to kind of see you kind of stand out amongst all that. And then when did Vancouver FC kind of start to show interest to bring you here?
I would say maybe a month or two after, or maybe I would say like a month after the season ended. They had announced that there was going to be a club in Vancouver, and I had done a couple of interviews with AFTN and the coaching staff, and it just felt right. I mean, Vancouver's a beautiful city. AFTN has the best resume, I would say, in the CPL as from a coaching standpoint. So for me, it was just go there, really learn from one of the most experienced coaches that you can find in Canada, and just stick with it and see if, you know what I mean, we can build a winning culture. And I feel like we're on the right path to that.
Gabby, the first time Michael says, of course, he saw you play when you were in university. The first time I remember seeing you play, especially live, was during that FC Edmonton year. And I was at the game in Edmonton when you hosted Pacific in July, and you scored in what was an unfortunate. You weren't quite able to make the comeback in that game, but you guys lost 3-2. But you turned the game around in a big way, and you and Kamara were like a huge part of that. And I remember as soon as I saw you as one of the first players for Vancouver FC, I was like, oh, okay. This is a good signal. This is a good sign of a player who has CPL experience, who I know can score, I know can contribute offensively. Yeah, what were your thoughts when you came into 2023 and you were looking around at who the other players were on the team?
Well, it's tough. It's a lot of players came from abroad, obviously, and so from abroad or from different backgrounds. So it was like you couldn't really put an expectation. It was really just like I just showed up, and I mean, in preseason we were knocking ball. We were winning. I don't think we lost a preseason game last year, and we were looking very good. I mean, I really believe that AFTN prepared us to the best of our abilities to have a good season. But as you know, Caden got injured at the beginning of the year. I hurt my shoulder at the beginning of the year. We had a couple injuries. Rocco got suspended. I mean, our season didn't start off the best. I believe that we did have great players last year, but I think the tough start really kind of hindered our season because, we weren't the most experienced. We were really, really young. I think we were one of the youngest teams ever in the CPL. And I think we just weren't able to get over that hump. And once we brought in some veteran players like Renan and Vasco and Mickey towards the middle of the season, it really helped us settle down and really come together. And as you saw towards the end of the season, we went on a good run. And so, I mean, hopefully we can keep our players healthy and really build that or have those experienced players from the beginning of the season calm us down and just get us through a couple of those rough patches at the beginning of the season, and we'll be good.
Before you came to play properly in the CPL as well, you'd gone over to Lebanon, you'd had trials with Ansar over there. How did that come about? I mean, obviously you're of Lebanese descent, and we'll talk about the national team in a sec, but how did that move come about? How did you come on their radar, or was it you and your agent that kind of reached out to them?
So I was working out with a trainer in Ottawa. His name is Antonios, and he owns 8 Mode. It's a company, and he played in Lebanon.
Oh.
And so when I met him, he had told me that he had played in Lebanon and he knows a couple people there. And this was during COVID, so there wasn't really much going on, but the Lebanese league was still running, and I was kind of getting tired of just sitting at home and really not doing much. And so I told myself, and I told him as well, if I don't know if something could come about in Lebanon, maybe like just like a trial, just to go see how it is down there. I would love to go experience, and thankfully it did happen. And yeah, no, my time there was great. It's unfortunate that this country wasn't in the best situation at that time, and that I had to come back. But I mean, it was a great time. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, it's my home country, so I'll always have love for that place. And I don't know. Hopefully, one day I could play a couple professional seasons over there. Yeah, no, it was a great time. I really enjoyed it. Ansar was a top club. They really took care of me, and I wish them nothing but the best.
So when you were there, is that kind of when you got on the radar for the national team? Or is it a case like in the past, I know in Canada, our coaches have kind of gone through anyone that's got Canadian heritage to see if they wanted to make the switch to play for Canada or whatever. But how did the national team get in touch with you?
So when I went to Ansar initially, I had played in like a preseason tournament, and I had done well. And from there, I had already heard a couple agents or whatnot. I'm not too sure what they were, but they had reached out and told me that if you were to come play in Lebanon, in a professional system, then like it would be a very good chance that you'd get on the national team. And obviously, I was really intrigued into that, but I couldn't really commit to it because I hadn't finished school and this country wasn't in the best situation. So I kind of just decided to come back, do my last year at Carleton. And yeah, no. And then, so when I decided to do that, after my last year at Carleton, I went to Edmonton, and thankfully I had a great season at Edmonton, and I think they were keeping tabs on me. So after my season at Edmonton, they had called me up to my first camp, which was last year, I think in December. We played against UAE, and in my first camp, I think I left a good impression. And so, I mean, from there, they kind of just kept keeping tabs and kept updating me, and I kept updating them what was going on in my career. And thankfully, they reached out for the Asia Cup, and I mean, it was a great thing for me.
Yeah, what was if you could talk about going to the Asian Cup? I got to be in Doha for the World Cup and experience all the stadiums there. I'm just wondering what it was like for you going to Doha and playing in those beautiful stadiums and just the whole experience.
Yeah, it was surreal, honestly, from when we landed at the airport to just staying at the hotel to just like our everyday routine. It felt like, you know what I mean? It felt like the pinnacle of being a professional athlete or a professional soccer player. And so for me, it was kind of just like, it was something that I never dreamed of that I would be a part of. And so I really tried to grasp every moment. I mean, as you know, the stadiums are unbelievable. The training facilities are unbelievable. Yeah, no, it was really something that that it has definitely motivated me to get back to, and hopefully, hopefully in the next couple of seasons, or next couple games, Lebanon can really, because we have World Cup qualifiers, we can really push ourselves to put ourselves in that position to go to big tournaments like that again.
Where in Doha? Where's your hotel? Like, where were you based? Were you up in Lusail, or were you?
No, we were near. I'm not too sure. We were in Doha, but the hotel name was Vocal, something like that.
Yeah.
It was near a city gate mall.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I have no idea what either of you are talking about.
I went to the City Gate Mall once.
Okay. I mean, it was a good performance by Lebanon. Going into that last game against Tajikistan as well, knowing that if you won, you were going to be going through. You had the lead in that as well. I mean, what you came on as a sub in that. What was that whole game, that whole atmosphere like for you?
It was yeah, no, it was unreal. I had never really experienced anything like that other than our first game against Qatar. But yeah, no, it was unbelievable. I mean, obviously we lost and still trying to swallow that, but obviously, I mean, we really, I feel like the fans and us, we were really motivated to go out and win that game, and we started off great. I mean, we got the 1-0 lead. We did everything right. And unfortunately, the red card kind of got them back into the game, and they kind of gained momentum as the game went on. They got comfortable, and I feel like once they got comfortable, they were really moving the ball well and creating a lot of chances. And yeah, no, they did well. I mean, congratulations to them. They, I mean, I'm pretty sure they went to the quarters, which is great.
Yeah.
But
there's been a few surprise results this year. I mean, like Jordan getting to the final for one thing. It's like it feels like there's maybe a little change coming in Asia, like we're seeing in Africa.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of the countries especially in the Middle East, like Iraq, Jordan, even Tajikistan. I mean, there's a lot of great footballing countries there that I feel like they're finally going to start getting their recognition on bigger stages. I mean, you just saw Iraq beat Japan, I think 2 weeks ago, and Japan is ranked like 15th in the world. And so, I mean, it's a very high level. I mean, it's something that I feel like Asia will really like the Asia Cup and the countries in Asia will really put the world on notice in the next couple of years.
Did you you playing those games? What was it like on the field? Because those stadiums are air conditioned, and I know it can be crazy hot outside, but in this, like, there was times in the stands where I was literally like freezing, like freezing cold. I wonder what for you at pitch level, was it hot? Was it warm? Did they keep the air conditioning off you? Like, how was that for you?
Yeah, no, it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty cold. I mean, you saw half of our teams wearing Under Armour in Qatar, which it doesn't really make sense. But yeah, no, I mean, once you step on the pitch, you don't really think about that stuff. But like when I was on the bench and stuff like that, it was cold, which was surprising. I didn't really think that, you know what I mean, you'd be cold on the bench in Qatar. So yeah, no, it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
I thought Jack was going to ask if you'd gone to a coffee shop that he'd gone to or something there. So I mean, that's fine. At least it was about the weather.
I don't think the CONCACAF Cafe was still around. So it was a temporary.
Right, let's bring you right up to date just to finish this off. So 2024 season, you're going to be back on the pitch very soon. How excited are you for it? I mean, there's been some really, really strong additions this off season. The club's they've gone local as well, which excites us, but there's some good experience being added to the team. What are you expecting from the team this season? What are you expecting from yourself this year?
Every year, I expect, me personally, I expect to just play to the best of my abilities, and help my team win, whether it's score goals, create chances, really help going forward. And yeah, no, I mean, the team's looking, I mean, on paper, we look fantastic. We made I think we signed a center back and David Norman and Paris G, which are, I mean, two fantastic players that have a lot of caps, professional caps throughout Europe and the CPL. So, I mean, that's kind of what we needed last year to push us through the beginning of the season. And hopefully these signings and this quality of players can really help us, push the group forward, whether it's in training, off the field. And then, I mean, I feel like we're going to come in with an extra push because of how the season ended last year. And I think the guys are very, very motivated. I mean, it's a very long off season, so you're not really doing much in the off season. You're just kind of just sitting around waiting for the season to start. So the guys are really hungry for this for the season to start, and we're ready to get to work.
Yeah, Gabby, I think I asked you this when we were at Brookswood Brewing during one of your injury earlier in the season. You came to hang out with the Fanatics, but in an ideal world, in an ideal scenario, obviously Afshin's the coach; he makes the decisions. Not asking you to question that in any way, shape, or form, but where would you prefer to play, and kind of what formation or what setup it would be your ideal? Like maybe even just like you're playing EAFC or you're at the park with all your friends, whatever. How would you set up how would you set up, Gabby Bitar's team, and where is Gabby in it?
Yeah. I still have trouble answering this question, but
Zach's asked every single player this year this same question, so don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry.
I think I'm just gonna go in a traditional 4-3-3. I think I would just be a left winger. That way, like more of an inverted left winger. That's I feel like that's my more natural position because I'm right-footed. I like to cut in. I kind of like to drift out to the left. So yeah, I think I would say left wing.
Cool.
Well, that is it. Thank you for joining us on the show today, Gabby. We look forward to seeing you this season on the pitch, and yeah, good luck. And it was fun watching you at the Asian Cup as well. We all kind of felt heartbroken. We were watching that last game, and we wanted you to go through so much, but yeah. Hopefully you'll just have to win a trophy with VFC instead.
Exactly. Thank you guys very much for having me.
Gabby Bitar there, talking all things of Vancouver FC, his career, and what was an amazing experience being with Lebanon at the Asian Cup, Zach. And it was a good interview, and that experience for Gabby, I mean, we touched on it there during the interview. He really started to come onto his game as the season was coming to a close, and you wonder how much more he could have pushed on if there was an extra month. Not just him, but the whole team. I'm interested to see what he does this year, and also how he fits in to Afshin's plans with all these other additions. Will he be a regular? Will he be off the bench? Will it be kind of rotational?
It's going to be really interesting with how they built the squad and how Afshin's going to choose to use the players and how often. And yeah, obviously a lot will be based on how they actually perform and results and all that kind of stuff. But let's put it this way: there's a lot more to be excited about going into the second year than the first, in terms of the squad and the possibilities. I mean, partly because also in the first year we didn't know so many players, right?
Yeah. Now it's like also with the local aspect of it as well. You feel a little bit more affinity to them. Or at least I certainly do, and I know you would, no matter where they came from. But yeah,
it helps for me too, Michael. Yeah, I'm really excited that we're at whatever it is, 9 or 10 now.
It's an easy sell, I think, marketing for the club as well. It's always a good aspect. So we'll see what other ones may be coming, who our maybe next interview will be from a VFC perspective. But we're going to just wrap this part up with a little bit of CPL chat and a follow-up from our discussion a couple of shows ago on the whole CSB Media Pro thing. Because I thought, I've got a little bit tantalising news to put out there. I had messaged you on Wednesday when I heard this.
Yeah.
It's kind of already out there because
Victor Montagliani, who I did mention in the last show I was going to try and get on the show. Haven't even had a chance to reach out to him. It's just been so nuts this week. But we hope to get Vic on the show down the line. But he was on the Footy Prime podcast and also kind of revealed what I'd heard on Wednesday as well, which I don't know all the ins and outs per se, but it sounds like the CPL is going to be back on One Soccer this season. It's like they've kissed and made up. Maybe not quite kissed and made up, but it does look like the CPL is going to be back on One Soccer. Media Pro, the only part of this I don't know is, are Media Pro and CSB, have they put the differences aside? What I've been told, though, is there's a whole different landscape now and a whole different deal. So it might be, and this is pure speculation on this bit, that Media Pro is just going to do the production side and they'll show the games on the channel. But if something has been worked out to save them going to court, well done, because they looked poles apart. And I know a lot of it was posturing and all media play and stuff, but for this to happen seems crazy.
Yeah, it does. It's hard to comment, right? Because we don't know all the details and we don't know exactly what it means and exactly what it's going to look like. So, down the road, we'll have a more fuller conversation about all this. But for me, it's just like the Media Pro approach to responding to CSB's lawsuit just smacked of, the whole like 50 million and, you put out a 6-page or 5-page document where ours is, 30 plus page. Like it was very much, I think Darnell said this when we talked to him, it was very sort of American, right? Like we'll just, we'll drown you and we'll do the way we respond will make this kind of be harder for you and whatever. And so not no one has said anything to me about it, but I was just like, there's no way that they would ever win that. And so it's interesting to see that. I remember when you texted me, I was just like, well, okay, glad I know there's some people who cancel subscriptions and stuff.
Well, it's easy to add in. Thankfully, I'm on my $5 a month in Telus. I can just add it in and out as I want, which is,
I think there's some
really
people
good
who
thing.
literally canceled stuff, so that might be interesting for them. But
well, I mean, the announcement could also be as soon as this week, so
that's true.
That will be interesting to keep an eye on.
I think the when we talk about what's best for the game in Canada, I think. And the owners know this, it needs to be on.
Oh yeah.
On TV or on TV, streamed, available in one way, shape, or form every single match, right? Like if they had to go to something where it was just like, hey, there's going to be a match of the week on CBC and that's it, even maybe if it was all on YouTube. Even though that would give them maybe better world exposure, like you're always talking about the Australian League, but I really think that it needs to be, the full season needs to be available somewhere. So we'll see. We'll talk again soon. I think when we know more and when things are kind of solidified and we have a better picture of what this deal actually is, or what this renegotiation or whatever it's going to be called actually is.
Yeah, and if they've managed to sort out their differences and find common ground, I say well done to both. It's for the good of the game, and it's nice to have a bit of positive Canadian soccer news to talk about, because we're going to be talking about some not so positive news in the next part, and we're also going to take you back to 1974, and we'll be back with all of that after this.
Hi, I'm Carl Valentine. You're listening to the AFTN podcast.
Is that me and I like it all?
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, we've taken you back to 1974 and the iconic sound of David Bowie. A single released on 15th of February 1974, the lead single from Bowie's Diamond Dogs album. And that's a version of it that you might not be too familiar with. That is actually the original mix of the song that did originally chart 50 years ago this week. The more familiar version that I think people hear in a lot of the compilation albums or even in re-releases of Diamond Dogs is a remixed US version. But I thought it's apt to play that original version just to tie in with the whole ethos of what we're doing this year on the AFTN Soccer Show. Fantastic single, became a bit of a glam anthem. The whole album, Diamond Dogs, of course, is fantastic. The B-side of the single as well is a song from an earlier album, Hunky Dory, and it's one of my favourite David Bowie songs, Queen Bitch. The single reached number 5 in the UK charts, only got to number 64 in the Billboard Hot 100. It's going to be interesting as well to see if, because we've played a big name guy like David Bowie, if that's one of our songs that gets flagged by Spotify. I've spoken before that some of the bigger ones, mainly on our Christmas shows, but have had to have the episodes taken down just on Spotify, not anywhere else, just because of the music used. So we'll see if David Bowie fits into that category. I hope not, because he had a few other amazing songs that were released in 1974 that I hope to play you over the course of the year. Elsewhere this week, music-wise, in 1974, the number 1 single in the UK was Suzi Quatro with a song that we played on last week's show, Divilgate Drive. Barbra Streisand's The Way We Were was the number 1 in the US Billboard Hot 100, and it was the final week for Terry Jacks' 4-week run at the top of the charts with his Seasons in the Sun single here in Canada. And if you are new to the show, the reason we are playing songs and talking about 1974, of course, is this is the 50th anniversary season for the Vancouver Whitecaps, and we're covering and documenting the team on a day-to-day, week-by-week, month-by-month basis on AFTN, on the website, and also on the podcast. And it was a big week in Whitecaps land 50 years ago, with a special Valentine's Day surprise for the fans as the first ever Whitecaps head coach was announced. After announcing the team name and their first signed player 10 days earlier, the Whitecaps' next monumental announcement came on February 14th, 1974. After weeks of interviews and worldwide interest, the Whitecaps now had their first ever head coach, Jim Easton. The 33-year-old Scotsman had over 300 career appearances as a pro under his belt. He had some managerial experience as well, was player coach with Queen of the South, and captain and player coach with Miami Toros in the NASL. He played 1 season with them in 1973. He was a centre-back who had been capped at under-18 and under-23 level by Scotland. And the fact that he had both managerial and playing experience, and also both of those came in the NASL, ticked a lot of the boxes that Whitecaps Executive Vice President Denny Veach was looking for. Veach said that the Whitecaps had spoken to between 50 and 60 candidates before offering the job to Easton, who he signed to a 2-year deal. "We feel we have the best available man," Veach told the assembled media that Valentine's Day. "We were originally committed to finding a local person for the job, but after talking to several candidates, we decided we wanted someone with experience in the league. I would like to stress that at no time did I make an offer to anyone but Jim Easton. We hope that Jim will remain as head coach only with us. We have his playing rights too, but we'd like him to concentrate on coaching duties. If we put together a competitive side, he won't have to play. Well, Easton didn't lace up the boots that inaugural season, but perhaps they could have done with him. They kind of needed an experienced stopper of his ilk for the tough season that was to come. Easton himself was delighted to be in Vancouver, and he was looking forward to the challenge ahead, feeling that coming as coach of the Whitecaps was a personal step up from being the captain and the assistant down in Miami. He said the standard in the NASL is improving every year and will need to recruit strongly to be competitive. But he felt the Whitecaps could be just that by mixing both local and international talent. I saw a couple of First Division, which was BC Soccer League games, Easton said, and offhand I would say there is sufficient talent here to form the nucleus of a competitive team. Now, Easton's appointment caused a bit of a buzz in the city, with local media delighted that it was an English-speaking coach, after having some issues years before with the legend that was Hungarian Ferenc Puskás. He was the Vancouver Royals head coach in 1968, but by all accounts spoke little English and also had little interest in adding Canadian players to the team. So the focus on local talent was already piquing the interest from the local media here in Vancouver. Now, upon his introduction, Easton told media that he wanted the Whitecaps to play aggressive, adding that he would like to think we're going to win every game. Now, bold, foolish, over the top, what you'd expect, sort of just coming out all guns blazing as a head coach, making your mark in the city. It was soon proved to be far from accurate, but I admire the cojones and the ambition to win every game, but also having an aggressive playing style obviously fits the Scottish style, probably still nowadays, but definitely back then in the 1970s. Denny Veach also had a few more announcements to make that Valentine's Day from an off-the-pitch aspect. He revealed the club's new crest. Now, I told you a couple of shows ago and revealed the original crest that the Whitecaps had, which was horrendous. And it was something like a primary school kid could probably come up with. So it then was revealed the new crest, which was the red maple leaf, at the centre of a white soccer ball that we kind of know today from that first season, and that we're going to see this 50th anniversary season in a black and gold aspect from the elite kit design. So, I mean, aside from it being a marked improvement from the horrible first effort that had been released 10 days earlier, the club also kind of had to change it because it was deemed to be too similar to the Vancouver Business Bureau. Season ticket pricing was also revealed, with those in the $5 section of the stadium going for $150, a saving of $50 on the gate prices for the 20 matches, and those in the $3 section going for $90, equally a saving of $50 on the at-the-gate prices. The full schedule for the 20-game season was also announced, which was going to be kicking off on May 5th. Now, the following day, February 15th, there was also another important announcement, because the Whitecaps had been in a little bit of disagreement with the Canadian Soccer Association. I mean, the CSA not doing something that might benefit the game here. I mean, I was stunned to read that this was happening in 1974, but Veach finally came to an agreement with the CSA that allowed the Whitecaps to sign players for the NASL on a special amateur card, allowing the players to retain their amateur status so that they could go and play in the Olympics with Team Canada. Of course, the decision rests with the player in the final analysis, Denny Veach said, but the fact that we've been able to obtain permission in such a short time from all levels of Canadian soccer is unparalleled. We're pleased that we can move so quickly to demonstrate our seriousness about signing Canadian players. And the Whitecaps are going to have a look at some of those local and national Canadian talents in an open training session the following week, but we'll cover that in the next episode of the show. But that was This Week in Whitecaps Land, 1974. I kind of feel like when I wrap up the 74 section, I need a snappy song for it. Because when we did the 79 stuff back in 2019, we had the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
I did think of just re-recording that and going, na, 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 1974.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, we might do that.
You
But
should.
Yeah, spoke about the Whitecaps' first ever head coach there, Jim Easton. A name very well known in Whitecaps land, known in Canadian soccer, but his son as well has made his big mark in Canadian soccer. Jim Easton Sr. was the first Whitecaps head coach, and it was Jim Easton Jr. that played for the Vancouver 86ers and also played a pivotal role in trying to change Canadian soccer for the better. And boy, do we need Canadian soccer to change for the better, because we're going to talk about the latest shit show in Canadian soccer in this part.
Yeah, so people don't know, the Easton Report.
Yeah, it came out in 2013.
Yeah, that's why we have the Premier League, Canadian Premier League. Yeah.
And James Easton Jr., of course, was named the head of soccer operations for the Canadian Premier League in 2018, the season before it started. Now, the Easton Report, again, for those that are totally unaware of it, it was a long-awaited report, and James Easton put a lot of work into it to look at how to develop Canadian football, how to get it to grow, what was best for it. And basically what the report said was he recommended that the best course of action is a regionally based series of Division 3 leagues governed by a single umbrella organisation. Just like the CHL overseas, the WHL here in the West, the OHL in Ontario, and the Quebec in hockey side, and has the Memorial Cup tournament. That was Jim Easton's recommendation for soccer at Division 3 level. Of course, now, all these years later, we've got that. League One Canada, with Leagues One in Ontario, Quebec, and BC, Alberta coming on board, and a lot more as well. So Easton's vision was that regional Division 3 teams would promote but not be limited to under-23 talent, and would try and promote locally bred players from college, regional youth clubs. So everything that was envisaged in that has started, and it started in Ontario, and they had League One Ontario, and something else he was pushing for, that there should be the Canadian Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got that. He wanted all the teams that played in the American system to come into the Canadian system. And it took a long time, 6 years from 2013 to 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And you started to think, yeah, things are going well in Canadian soccer. And then you've got, on the men's side, getting to the first World Cup in 36 years. The women's side, winning the Olympic gold. Hosting the World Cup in 2015 for the women, hosting the 2007 Under-20 World Cup before that, and you think football has taken a big step here. When I've been doing my 1974 research, there was a columnist, I can't remember if it was in the Sun or the Province, who was talking about the football coming back to Vancouver after the Royals and saying, will it catch the public's imagination? It's not really a big sport in Canada. Will it ever be like it is in countries overseas, and will it have a foothold in the game here? Maybe one day. And it has now. I think you can arguably say that football it's definitely one of the biggest participation sports, and it has got a foothold on the public consciousness and the media consciousness, and the World Cup here in 2026 will go a long way to do that. But then, every now and again, Canadian soccer just seems to lurch from one embarrassing moment, one shit show to another, with a few rays of hopes and excitement kind of sprinkled in just to stop you having all the hope and encouragement sucked out of you.
I think I know the ray of hope you're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're getting to that later.
Well, there's not been a lot of rays of hope this week, I've got to say, but the continued mismanagement of the game here, it's infuriating, it's discouraging. Like this week, Canadian women's under-17 team in the CONCACAF Championships failed to qualify for the under-17 World Cup for the first time. Partly hindered by there just being 2 spots this year, but that should not matter, you would feel.
No.
Because they've always qualified. First time they haven't. At the last World Cup in 2022 in India, they were winless in their group games. They had mustered 2 draws, and they went out at the group stage, so they didn't even go through to the knockout. You thought that was bad. And we've constantly talked about other countries overtaking us, especially on the women's side, and the gap closing. Now we've got what we feel is a talented group of under-17 players that haven't got to the World Cup. And there's been a lot of finger-pointing, rightly so. Coaching. Emma Humphreys, the right person to be in charge of that team? Should it be younger blood? Obviously, there's a connection there, being the wife of the national team head coach, Bev Priestman, as well. Now, Emma's a good coach.
I haven't heard any negative feelings toward that. Have you?
I have, actually.
Oh, okay.
Now we're moving in different circles from the Whitecaps chat. But I've seen a lot of folk criticise the coaching choices for the team just now.
Just because of that relationship, or?
It's been alluded to by a couple of folk, but just more that it needed fresh young blood and ideas. Another big finger-pointing aspect is the fact that it's all the NDC players and all these talented regional youth club players have been kind of frozen out of the national team setup. And you look around the national thing, and in Ontario and Quebec and here in BC, they all 3 of those teams won their League One championships on the women's side. And here in BC, the Whitecaps were playing 15-year-olds and won it. So I think it's not so much finger-pointing at the NDC, although you should look beyond that. It's what's happening with the rest of the development in the women's game at that level. Why is the funding not going elsewhere? Because if you've got 15-year-olds winning League One championships ahead of players in their late teens, 20s, some of the best college talent around, there's something seriously failing with the Canadian system here. And of course, a lot of it is money. And a lot of it is, where is that money going? And I've seen a lot of people as well start to be a little bit angry at the demands of the national team players taken away from the youth thing. And this is something we have been consistent with on this show, that you cannot reward the national team players at the detriment to all these other aspects that need funding, from the youth players to referees and futsal and everything. It's like this all deserves funding, and between the CSB deal, the players' demands and everything else, Canadian soccer is in a perilous state in that regard.
Yeah, it is really, really concerning. I agree with you that, when we have those conversations, I think both on and off air, when the players are making demands in the middle of their labor situation, or so I should say situations with the CSA, and how they publicly said, "Oh, no, we want there to be money for the younger programs," but you look at how this program has kind of gone down this year, or this cycle, whatever, is really discouraging. Now, to me, Michael, it's also kind of related to what we've been saying for a while, right? The other countries are catching up. Canada, we are not as good as we should be, or where we think that we are. And I hope for the sake of the development of players that the right amount of money can be put into the game, so that the things that need to have happen will be able to.
Yeah, it's definitely very badly needed. And there were some fantastic standout performances from the girls. I want to give a big hat tip to Kaylee Hunter, who was my Whitecaps Female Player of the Year. And she scored a hat-trick in the third, fourth place game for Canada to finish third, and had a really good tournament. So there's a lot of hope coming through, but they need the right environments. Obviously, Project 8 will help, but it needs the funding put in. And tied in with that bit of bad news, it's like a man that we've a lot of time for here at AFTN. I have a lot of respect for Dino Rossi, League One Ontario president. He was a director on the Canada Soccer Board as well, elected to that in May 2023. So many folk were excited by that. So many folk were pushing him to run for presidency. And he told me he didn't have plans to do that. Sadly, issued a statement on February the 9th with the just horrible news to read that he was resigning from the board of Canada Soccer with immediate effect. He said, "When I put my name forward to run for a seat on the Canada Soccer Board of Directors, I had a lot of ideas for what I could contribute to the organisation and the sport. I've been genuinely inspired by CONCACAF's football first ethos, which guides everything the Confederation does from an operations and governance standpoint, and I sincerely wanted that philosophy to guide Canada Soccer as well. If you know anything about me, you know how passionate I am about Canadian soccer and especially our national teams. The opportunity to serve the CSA and the sport as a director, especially with the World Cup coming, felt like such an exciting opportunity at a pivotal time." But this is the damning bit. Sadly, and for a multitude of reasons, it became apparent that football doesn't come first at Canada Soccer these days. I found it exceedingly difficult to contribute in a manner that I found meaningful, impactful, and in service of the sport and those who play the game. Ultimately, when a situation isn't a good fit, it is better to move on. Now, that's damning, because if anyone knows Dino, and I know a lot of you might not, he lives and breathes the game.
Yeah, totally.
He is enthusiastic for it. He's in it for the right reasons. He wants everything good for Canadian soccer at all levels. Now, the great side is it frees up more time, he says, to concentrate on League One, which is a passion project for him. He got League One Ontario off the ground. But to lose somebody with his passion, his knowledge and his experience from a Canadian board of directors that is led by a non-football person and has a lot of other non-football people on it, it's alarming, it's disheartening, and it's infuriating that it's got to this point. If we are losing people like him from the top of the game here is absolutely fucked.
Yeah, it's very discouraging. I agree with you on basically all of that. Obviously I want to know. I want more details on what he means by.
Yeah, I'm sure he will speak more. I mean, I'll reach out to Dino this week, because we were going to have Dino on the show in January to talk about League One stuff, and then he stood down as the League One presidency because he wanted to focus on the Canada soccer side of things.
Yeah, that would be helpful to know that, I think. But they're dealing with there's a lot of moving parts in terms of just big issues. Right.
Well, I mean, you've got him resigning. You've got Jason DeVos moving on. You've got the General Secretary not taking up her role. What is going on there that we are not hearing about that is behind all these decisions? And when Dino says football is not coming first, what is? Trying to make the most money out of the World Cup coming? Reading between the lines jumps out at you. But if not that, well, what is coming first? And why is soccer not coming first for Canada Soccer?
Yeah. We need more information, but yeah.
So many questions.
That's a really big and valid question.
It's just so disheartening, because it's like, I mean, we put our heart and soul into doing the podcast. That's our contribution to the game. You contribute on the supporter side of things. I contribute on the writing side as well, and the media side. We don't make money out of this. We do this, like, you're dead in your feet just now after a busy week, and it's like you're trying to finish this podcast, and it's like there's people give so much time. Dino's done so much stuff unpaid.
Yeah.
And he's not alone, like other folk has as well. And we're losing these people. We're turning these people away just when we need them the most. And I don't know what the answer is. We need to have folks sit down and just thrash this out. And we keep talking about we want to do a round table. It's just finding the time to do it. This is now coming to the point we have to.
Well,
I mean,
Dino has time now.
Yeah. I mean, there's positive things happening. League One's expanding. Here in BC, we've just got our 8th team for this season announced. It's Burnaby FC. Big congratulations to them.
Yeah.
I gave a little hint last week it would be a good week for the Montaglianis because Victor's brother Mario is involved with Burnaby FC. So that's going to be good. They're going to be playing out of Burnaby Lake. Not the full stadium criteria that League One initially had, but I think that's good. The league as well has dropped the you can't go in with your existing name thing. Thankfully, that is a good thing as well. So Burnaby FC's in at that. I believe it's going to really fully open up next season, and there's going to be more announcements of an expansion for BC probably this summer. Interested parties have got till end of March to get their applications in for 2025. Have to keep remembering it's 2024. Very difficult. So, I mean, there's that aspect of Canadian soccer that's great. But then it's the level below it that isn't on the youth side. And then there's the pro battles with CPL and broadcasting deals and the national team. We don't even have a men's head coach yet. It's just a mess.
Yeah, there's a lot that needs to get sorted, and a bunch of that needs to be done quickly. And there's a lot of these decisions need to be like the right / best decision possible made. So it's going to be
crucial time
how it all plays out.
The sport.
You talked about maximizing profits or money or income because of the World Cup. Yeah, there are some people I think who've already left, who have gone over to the kind of local organizing side of things. Because to be fair, Michael, you don't make a lot of money working for the CSA, right?
No. Well,
aside from the volunteers on the board or whatever, like actually people work there they're not making huge money. And
there's not a lot of money in soccer in general. Like I've seen like jobs advertised. There was a job in Halifax. It was the head of something, I can't remember what it was, with the Wanderers. 45,000 starting salary. League One GM job that's up 45 to 70,000 to run a league. So it's like there's not big money in the game. So the people that are doing it, they're doing it out of passion.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see what happens there. I don't want to end on a sour note, so let's wrap things up for the show with this episode's wavelength. And I've gone back to a song from the late 90s, early 2000s. I couldn't remember the exact date for this. And it's a song we've played in part on the show before. I might even have played it in full way back in the day, before we had our wavelength section, because it's written by a really good friend of mine, Danny Holland. Known Danny since the late 80s, early 90s. He was in a number of local bands in Fife. Talented solo artist as well. And this was a song he had from his Periods and Dictionaries album. Football related song, simply called Accrington Stanley.
We're gonna be shifting the goalpost soon. Now you're here until the whistle blows. We'll be replacing a ball with a top-notch tune. Yeah, you're here until the whistle blows. But hold on until we change the stadium around us a bit too much like your Uncle Norm. Oh, and the ravenous alligators parading the ground. They haven't eaten since the day they were born. Ah! Yeah. Now it's a corner kick to the opposite side. Onto a certainty that's 1,000 miles wide. Ah! Yeah. We got a few ciggies on 99.2 to us, the happy underdogs. So if you're a friend, we'll buy a mansion for you, yeah, and a hangar full of brand new dogs. We really mean it, man. Yeah. Now it's an indirect free kick to the boys. The keeper's self-destructive because of the noise. The The energy smashes the tune through the right-hand side, back of the net, and onto the rest of us flight. Yeah, yeah, it's not over yet, but we're feeling alright. Yeah, yeah, it's not over yet, but we're feeling alright. Yeah, yeah, it's not over yet, but we're feeling alright. Yeah, yeah, it's not over yet, but we're feeling alright. Yeah, yeah.
Danny Holland there, Accrington Stanley. Who are they? It's one for the oldies. It was a milk marketing board ad way back in the 70s or 80s. You learn things on this show.
For real.
Yeah. What have you learned this week, Zach? What's your final thoughts and goodbyes before we wrap things up?
I just commiserations to you and Eric Astley. I'm sorry for your loss.
The superb owl was not so superb in the end.
Yeah.
I was genuinely gutted. During overtime, I thought I was going to puke, and my chest was tight. I was like so nervous.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the Niners, they fucked that up. They should have won that, but
yeah,
that was sad.
So I feel bad for you. To anyone who took my advice last week and went onto DAZN yesterday and watched.
I was following that.
The Bundesliga match of the week, and the potential title decider in the Bundesliga. You got to see.
You have my condolences.
Yeah, you got to see why Thomas Tuchel should not be coach at Bayern Munich, and if you see him moving in the direction of coming to coach your favorite club, tell them to run, because he it's disgraceful what he's done and what they've allowed him to do, and if this keeps playing out, it's not holistically the lack of titles and the lack of winning, because his record isn't horrible. On the title front, it is. It's not. And I'm not a person, Michael, is like, oh, this is the curse of what's his face, or the Englishman, Harry Kane. The curse of Harry Kane.
Yeah, he can't win a trophy.
Yeah, it's none of that, man. It's this. Yeah, Thomas Tuchel is known as he's not a bad tactician. There's lots of good things about him as a football manager in general. The problem is he doesn't deal with people well, and in particular, at Bayern, he's gone out of his way to essentially like take on the leadership within the playing structure, and kind of gone to battle with all or most of them.
Oh, really?
And so it's been really.
That's not a good thing to do.
No, it's been really bad, but not just the old heads either, Michael. He came in and has decided that 70 million pound center back Matthias de Ligt from Holland is not competent enough to play in his system, and has played other players ahead of him. And I mean, even in this game against Leverkusen, he sat on the bench while Eric Dyer played. And Eric Dyer, put in a couple
lived up to his name.
Well, he did. Yeah, he did. He had a couple good performances for Bayern, but he is not the player that Matthias de Ligt is, in my opinion, in multiple ways. Anyways, it was if you follow the Bundesliga, it was a really interesting game because both coaches really tried things, and Tuchel got a lot of things wrong, but it was interesting and part of it was injury based, but it was interesting to see Xavi Alonso play with what I essentially thought was playing Wirtz as a false nine, which I think really made Bayern having a back three, a back five kind of pointless in the middle, and yet they were also able to expose it. So it was really interesting. And yeah, I mean the scoreline was a little bit flattering because there was like a classic ice hockey empty net goal at the end.
Oh,
as Bayern was going for it, but
no one punched the guy after scoring.
No, none of that.
But this is the most awake you've been in the whole podcast. Speaking about Bayern.
I'm sorry. My blood boils talking about Thomas Tuchel. Like it's
right. Well, here's a serious question for you. Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, I don't.
Possibility. He's linked with the German job as well.
I don't think so because I think kind of like in Liverpool where he said, "Yeah, I'm not going to coach another English team."
Oh, right.
I think because of his what he's done at Mainz and Dortmund, I
Yeah.
don't think he'd go to Bayern. I'd be very happy for Jurgen Klopp on multiple levels, and I would also be very happy for Jurgen Klopp to take over the national team. In terms of Bayern, yeah, I'd be happy with someone like I would be happy with Xabi Alonso, one of our former players, if he wanted to make his next home our club. The other problem with Tuchel is he's making all these changes with the roster and who like there's players like De Ligt is talking about wanting to leave.
We've got
Joshua
all the Fonzie
Kimmich
rumours as well.
Joshua Kimmich is wanting to leave. The Fonzie isn't related to
No,
Tuchel's
but it's
team.
like
Right.
that could play
No,
into it
that's
because he's like,
bad.
I don't
Oh
want to
yeah.
hang around this.
No, that's bad. Yeah, it doesn't help. But so like the whole side is going to be dismantled. And the dude has one more year on his contract, and it's like he's not a guy who sticks around long. And I don't think we'll bring him back. And so, but they're letting him kind of dismantle the team, and he's probably not even going to be here for the long term. It's very,
You know what you need to
very
do?
frustrating.
Hashtag Dickin.
Yes, there you go.
Works for us.
Worked for you. Anyway, sorry. Thank you for letting me.
No, it's good. It's
really,
nice of you to wake up.
it,
at
no,
the
it
end of the show.
really, it really, yeah. I've been meaning to tweet about it because I don't tweet a lot, but I wanted to tweet about that. But I've been so busy with work that I haven't had time. But
Well, it's good to get that off your
very
chest.
frustrating. Yeah,
Yeah, that must
very
be really frustrating.
And I want to give another shout out to we did it last week. The result was not in his favor, but shout out to Ian McHugh and his Werder Bremen side. They were celebrating their 125th anniversary of Werder Bremen. They're 1 year older than Bayern, and they had special jerseys, and they did the thing in the stadium where like everyone was wearing the like the colored rain ponchos, and so the whole stadium was like blocks of red and or sorry, green and white, and they ended up losing to this upstart Heidenheim team who's going to survive after their first season in the Bundesliga. They're going to survive, but I just want to give a shout out to them because it was a big day for them. It didn't play out the way they wanted to, but yeah, shout out to people like Ian who are Werder Bremen fans.
That was This Week in German Football with Zachary Adam.
Yeah, it needs to be a segment.
We could do that. If folk are interested, actually, let us know. Always looking to branch out. And once we do these 2-hour daily shows that we're talking about, then it's like we have definitely got time for that.
Yeah.
Would folk listen? Maybe some would. Anyway, we will wrap this up. I just wanted to give some thanks as well. Thank you to whether you've been with us from episode 1, whether you're just a first-time listener on episode 600, whether you've joined along the way. Thank you for listening to all of our nonsense over the last 11 years. We are the longest running English language podcast in Canada. I did find there's a French language one that's a couple of months older than us, which is annoying. Can FC, so kudos to them as well for still going. But we are the longest running English language one. It's been a lot of fun. 600 episodes down. Definitely want to do this until at least the World Cup. Part of me wants to just do it till we get to 1,000 or 999 and then just stop it.
You want to stop at 1,000?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm getting on. I'm looking at retirement, man. I'll still want to do this. I'll be in my 80s. So thank you to everyone that's been with us along the way. Thanks to all the subscribers on the extra podcast as well, which you can jump on. $30 a month, $3. No, I always do this. $30 a year or $3 a month. Or if you want to give us $30 a month, we're happy for that as well. Yeah, I mean, the more the merrier. So thank you for that as well. And I was on a podcast. It's on YouTube if you want to check it out. The Designated Players podcast. Just chatting about all things Whitecaps. I'm speaking to someone from all the teams. So that's a big task that the guys have brought on. So check that out as well. But yeah, just hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks to Vanni for jumping on, and also to Gabby Bitar. We will be back with another episode soon. Until then, thanks for listening. Take care. And Mon the Caps.
going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.